which wastes no
you were going to talk about before we have to wait time to a particular case. So, going forward.
Hello, everyone. How you doing? Hope you're having a good weekend. Sorry I didn't see you yesterday. I'm having a throat thing. I think I'm sick. I'm not totally sure. Let me double check that the comments are working. Give me one sec. All right. So my voice is still kind of messed up today. I apologize for that, but, you know, I'm back, so cool beans. Hey, James, what's going on? Let's see what I missed in chat. Hello, Mr. Blast, Dodger Mutt, Lady Ann, Felicity Thel, Ken's sister Sue, Lady Ann, Dillis Filler, Brain Squid, Phoenix Leftist, and anyone I missed. Felicity, thanks for 16 months here on Twitch, says running on 0 sleep right now. Sorry to hear that. Ken's sister Sue, thanks for 6 months, says that went quickly. Thanks, Hannah. You've kept me sane-ish in the right-wing hell we're living in. That's impressive, because I'm not even staying sane. Lady Ann with a 10-stream streak says, what a year this week has been, but I've got my CPAP machine named Krieg and my older sister in town, which is always fun. Very nice. I wish you well wishes on your successful nighttime breathing and familial interaction. So everyone, if you like the stream, do me a favor, hit the like button on YouTube. If you're watching the VOD, consider hyping the video. I'd really appreciate it. And if you want to help support the stream, you can always become a member on YouTube, a subscriber on Twitch, and use super chats on YouTube or bits on Twitch. All right, with that out of the way, I think we can jump right in with Kim Blandino. Oh, also, this stream might be a little short today. My voice is good enough that I can talk right now, but you know, I don't want to overdo it, so it might only be a shorter stream. But we're still going to hang out and do soft sits. Also, I know we've been doing a lot of soft sits lately. The only reason is because there was kind of a drought for a while, and all of a sudden, you know, when it rains, it pours. We've gotten a ton of soft sit stuff in recently, so I'm focused on it a little now, but after today, it should probably slow down and go back to the normal ratio of, like, different kinds of streams. Anyway, so with all my housekeeping out of the way, let's jump into it. Again, this is Kim Blandino. He has already been determined in other courts to be a vexatious litigant. He is now in another courtroom where they are doing a hearing on whether or not he's going to be a vexatious litigant in this court. And let me tell you, he doesn't help his case here. So let's take a look.
So
Let me turn off the music.
the first issue is I received a petition and a supplement from Mr. Jessup. I did not receive a response in reply to that from Mr. Blandino. So I want to...
Are we doing the Judge Simpson being accused of being an Egyptian lord and member of the Illuminati? I don't remember if I pulled that up. I know it was on the Discord. I don't remember if I did pull that one up.
On the record that the controlling case law when it comes to vexatious litigants is Jordan v. State of Nevada, 121 Nevada 44. In that particular case, they do cite some other cases in reference to whether or not an individual doesn't respond and whether or not that would result in the court considering it not be sufficient notice for the four-factor analysis. Specifically, that was In re Martin Trigona. So in that particular case, the defendant received roughly a 30-day notice of the petition filing and then the setting of the date. It's very similar in time to this particular case. And so I believe that Mr. Blandino has received sufficient notice and made a decision not to file a reply.
Wonder if Kim will make another appearance in chat. If he does, be nice to him. We were very mean to him last time. I know he's crazy. I know he's not a very good person, but that doesn't mean we should be mean to him directly.
Response, which is absolutely fine. But since the date that petition...
Carpcosian, thanks for a 25 stream streak, says, what is an airborne attack but a naval invasion from the sky?
Filed, you have filed many documents for both of the cases in the city, which shows the court that you have a great understanding of how that works. So if that was going to be an issue we're going to talk about, just know preemptively it's denied and the hearing will be going.
I'm sorry, what's denied?
Sir, if you interrupt me, this will end, okay? You're going to listen right now and I will give you an opportunity to
I
respond.
don't know what you said was denied.
All right, hold on. Today I'm going
Were you listening to what she said?
to allow you both to talk, and in deciding this, there's not a lot of case law that comes to vexatious litigants, although you've been deemed one before, sir. And when I looked into that, I wanted to get some guidance in reference to how to handle this particular hearing. And in doing so, I'm going to rely on what would be an oral argument standard, which is held in the Nevada Supreme Court. I know this is not the Nevada Supreme Court, and I am not a Nevada Supreme Court justice, but I will combine the arguments to 15 minutes each. You will be given the opportunity, Mr. Jessup, to start. You can reserve time for rebuttal.
Would you believe that during Kim's defense, he doesn't talk about vexatious litigation or defense against the claims that he's a vexatious litigant at all? He just rambles the same stuff he always rambles.
If you would like, and Mr. Blandino.
Can I enter an
No,
objection,
sir, you
Judge?
do not.
Can I
You will
object?
be overruled. Thank you. You will be given the opportunity to give your argument as well.
There is a motion to disqualify you, and you
Sir,
cannot
we
do
will get there.
anything.
We will get there in a
There's always a motion to disqualify because you file a motion to disqualify with every single judge on every single case you find yourself involved in.
moment.
This is one of the reasons we're talking about you as a vexatious litigant, because you're just fucking with the courts. This is not appropriate. This is not how it works. He thinks he's discovered some secret to just, like, fucking with the courts or something, when he's really just being an asshole. I don't get it. I don't understand what he thinks he's getting out of this. Is he just the kind of person that likes to cause trouble and annoy people, and the attention is what he's after? I don't understand.
I have a time clock, which we will go, and you will see the 15 minutes that you have
No,
to be able
I'm not proceeding in this. He's not a licensed
Sir,
attorney. He
Mr.
can't
Blandino,
represent the city of Las Vegas.
You are not going to talk over me. We've talked about this on the last date, sir.
You
I'm
may-
outlining my expectations. Stop talking or the hearing will end and I will just determine it based on the motions. Do you understand?
I have not had an opportunity to reply or make a motion to dismiss or a motion to disqualify or to have him declared
So
a
are you
vexatious
saying
litigant.
that you're not going to listen to the way that I handle this? Because if you're saying you can't, then it will end now.
I'm saying right now, if you wish,
Is it yes or no, Mr.
we could
Blandino?
shorten
Are you
this.
going to listen to
What channel is this? It's like pop-up video or the profile pics in the corner, like a versus screen. Yes, this is from a channel. I forget people don't necessarily know the channels I'm using. I'm sorry. This is Our Nevada Judges. They have covered all of Kim Blandino's court appearances in Nevada courts since they discovered him. So if you want to look at more Kim Blandino stuff, check out their channel. They also covered Chili DeCastro's trial when that was going on.
what I tell you to do and confine yourself to the way I am as the judge handling her courtroom, or are you not?
I don't think I can answer that question as asked.
Then we can end this and I will make the decision on the motions.
What about the motion? You said we're gonna get to the motion to
I can
disqualify.
also issue a minute order in reference to that, sir. I received your 2 new motions and I can issue a minute order as to that. or you can stop interrupting me, and then you can be given your 15-minute opportunity to make a record. So can you control yourself going forward?
I'm not waiving any of my rights, Judge.
No one's asking
That was a non sequitur.
you to, sir.
Yes,
I'm
you
asking
are.
you to comply with the decorum of this court, and if you can't do it, just like any other defendant.
You're trying to
you
bully me again, Judge.
All right, then it's going to be very simple. As I said, I'll make the record again. You didn't file a reply in reference to the petition for vexation.
I just got the supplement 3 days
Based on
ago.
that, sir, pursuant to Jordan versus State, and pursuant to the case that I previously outlined in Ray Martin Trigona, whether or not you make an argument that you should have been given time or in asking for a continuance, those requests will be denied. You've had ample opportunity, and you know how the system works. So you have elected not to
Yeah, but
file.
you don't.
Sir,
Does he know how the system works? Comrade Simon, thanks for 5 months.
interrupt me again, and we're done. As Judge Brown told you 2 weeks ago, you have a very bad habit of interrupting judges. And we do our best to give you the opportunity to speak, but you make it extremely difficult. So stop talking over me. Do you understand me? Yes or no?
Yes. But I need time to make a record.
You will be given a record if you can behave, which so far you have not exhibited the ability to do so.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're being serious.
I am being very
Fuck this guy. Is Kim Blandino one of the least self-aware people we've ever seen on this show? Because that's really impressive considering our roster. Our current rogues gallery is pretty hefty with delusional people.
very serious.
Okay, I thought you might have been making a little joke.
There's no jokes here, sir. Stop talking. Mr. Jessup, you have 15 minutes. Would you like to reserve any time for a vote?
Yes, Judge, I will be brief in my opening, and I'll reserve the remainder of my time.
Oh, he's got a sticker on his butt that says he is risen, if you can't see that. It's a sticker on his butt. It says he is risen!
Alright, let me figure out how to work this. And you said, I'm sorry, how much would you like to reserve for a vote?
I think I'll probably be about 5 minutes, use of time, so I'll reserve the remaining 10.
Alright, so, again, you can see this, correct?
And actually, yes, I can see it now.
Is it breaking, go now?
Yep.
Okay, Mr. Jessup, have a seat, Mr. Blandino, if you interrupt him, we end.
I need to
Sir,
stand if I
sit
can.
down.
Hydrate.
We are done talking to you, you'll have 15 minutes
Have a
in a
seat,
moment.
sir.
It's not your turn to
No, I'm
talk.
sorry,
Have a seat.
I have a physical
Have a
problem, I
seat.
need to stand.
Then stop interrupting.
Can I
Is it
stand?
so hard? Of course, but don't speak again.
Hey, that's all I'm
Mr.
asking
Jessup.
for.
Your Honor,
He
the time
always has to have the last word, too.
clock is turned off.
That's what they charge it. Alright, I'm gonna have my clerk do it. And I'll let you.
All right, I'm gonna skip past the lawyer's arguments. I've already watched this video. There's nothing in there that you or I need to hear. Oh wait, no, he does. He tries to object. Okay, we probably do need to listen to it then. Shit.
I'm talking to you, you'll have 15 minutes
Have a
in a
seat,
moment.
sir.
It's not your turn to
No, I'm
talk.
sorry, I
Have a seat.
Judge, you made a correct record and noted kind of how we got here, but I want to take just a moment and make sure that is clear. I did file the petition to have Mr. Blandino declared vexatious, and as you noted, he did not reply to that. However, how we got here is based upon actions that occurred in a criminal matter, where we received a criminal complaint that was filed, and a case was opened in this court on January 16th. On February 26th, after a couple proceedings, the city attorney's office filed a notice of dismissal, which is proper under Nevada revised statute, NRS 174.085. That process triggers something for the court and for what I have the responsibility of doing as court administration, which is making sure cases are processed correctly. And that triggered the ability for us to dismiss the action.
Why is he looking around?
There's no
What's he doing?
dispute of that, not even in the defendant's pleadings. However,
Oh, he's talking too, under his breath, but I can still hear him on the microphone. What a dick.
after that notice of dismissal was filed and the case was
Harold Edelman with 57 months says, I just got the 57 notification again, but I already told you about it back when it happened before. This is redundantly redundant, kind of like Kim's whole shtick. True.
dismissed. And, Your Honor, in that instance, I don't even know if we have jurisdiction. In fact, I'm fairly certain we don't have jurisdiction over the criminal matter any longer. The defendant filed at any rate, on March 2nd, a motion to reopen the case. This court correctly ordered and found that the notice of dismissal was proper, and the motion was denied. The defendant, since that time, has subsequently filed additional motions and pleadings, essentially asking for some of the same relief or asking for the court to be disqualified. They've been repetitive. Quite honestly, some of them have
I
been.
object. If I
You're gonna have a response. She went over this.
didn't ask the court,
Overruled, be quiet.
can I state the
Go ahead.
reason why
No, sir.
objection?
Overruled. You will have your opportunity to speak, you can deal with it then. Mr. Jessup, continue.
So, as a part of that effort, Your Honor, the defendant has filed multiple pleadings and processes with the court, and that in and of itself isn't the challenge. The challenge is how repetitive that they are, and they seek the same type of redress that he already has been given, which is that his case is dismissed. He seeks additional redress. However, the judicial system is set up to handle issues of mistake and issues where a person feels they need redress, and that's through the appellate process. This defendant has not chosen to do that. However, instead, what he has done with his repetitive motions and pleadings, as he has come to the court to file documents.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch this when I watched it the first time. This is about a case that's already closed, and he's still sending in things to the clerk as if the case is open? The case is closed, Mr. Blandino. It's over. Go appeal if you think you have issues.
Has
You can't
repeatedly-
keep litigating in the same court after the case is closed. What are you talking about?
Interrupted other customers' interactions with the court. In addition to that,
Objection. That's nothing to
Mr.
do with being
Blandino,
vexatious.
I will just note that you have a standing objection for the record. Okay, that will make
But
this
this
a
is
lot easier.
particular.
Stop. You'll have the opportunity to present your case when it's your turn, sir. So please let Mr. Jessup finish.
Failure to
Go ahead,
object
sir.
timely could be fatal.
in addition to that, he's asking staff personal questions that have no bearing on the cases here at the court.
Objection, that has nothing to do with
Mr.
litigating.
Blandino, if you interrupt again, you will not have the opportunity to respond. I gave you a standing objection, I presume, and the court will just assume that you don't agree with anything Mr. Jessup says. Makes it a lot
I
easier.
have particular objections.
You will
sir.
have an opportunity during your 15 minutes, so stop. Please carry on.
Your Honor, in addition to that, he's taken up court resources and time, asking for copies of his documents and records, which really is just a copy of the documents and records that he's been filing. Since that has occurred, I felt it has been necessary to file a petition to declare Mr. Blandino vexatious. This is something where he has a legal remedy, and that remedy is on appeal. The defendant, since I have filed a petition for him to be declared vexatious, has filed 7 additional civil matters, or 7 additional civil motions, or motions in his civil matter rather, including a motion to disqualify. That motion was heard by Judge Brown. Judge Brown denied that motion after a hearing. And again, the defendant, even as of today, filed a repetitive motion for this court to again be disqualified. He doesn't add new arguments. It is simply a repetitive motion and process, which is meant to delay the actions that we need to do as a court to provide services to the community. We are using our judicial time and resources to address matters that are repetitive and that have been answered, instead of just going through the normal course of process and using his rights to appeal. Even as I indicated, or as you noted rather, he has a pattern of history as a vexatious litigant. He was found to be vexatious at the
Puka, thanks for 65 months.
8th Judicial District Court, and that was found in 2018. And even since then, as recently as January 2026, additional orders were entered in at the 8th Judicial District Court limiting Mr. Blandino's actions at that court. So, due to his repeated behavior, his continually filing actions even after they have been answered or resolved, he continues to interrupt the court processes, and use judicial resources and time in a manner that is not intended. They are frivolous, in my opinion, and I believe that he should be deemed a vexatious litigant. And I reserve the remainder of my time for any result.
9 minutes and 30 seconds. All right, Mr. Blandino, hold on. I want to be very clear of my expectations for you during this 15 minutes. You get to make your record, sir. That is your right. You get to make that record as long as what you are saying
I
is
hope
not
Kim doesn't join chat again. If I'm on a safari, it's nice to see the animals, but I don't want them getting into the convy with us, you know?
negative, threatening.
I'm sorry, negative? I don't understand what you mean by
I'll make
that.
the decision of
Steve with a Q, thanks for 67 months.
that, sir. If it's threatening, if it's argumentative.
Oh,
if
sorry. 6'7". 6'7", or whatever.
it's degrading, I will stop your argument, okay?
Wait a minute,
I'm the
I
judge.
thought you
and
said
this
it
is
was
my
an
court,
argument. I'm allowed to argue.
And I get to stop people when I think the content is irrelevant. And if you touch on any of those things, I will determine it to be irrelevant.
One of those
Do you
things you said
understand,
is
sir?
I can't be argumentative. I'm arguing.
Sir, some of the things you say,
She meant the fact that you often try to malign the character of the people in the court, the judges, the attorneys. That's what she means. She means not to be hostile, basically.
certainly in your motions and absolutely in court, can at times be absolutely inappropriate. And Judge Brown admonished you to that fact on the 20th. If you maintain that in my court, I will stop you. Plain and simple. So you can smile and laugh all you like, but it is
I'm
my
not
court.
laughing.
And
for
I
the
have the
record.
opportunity to stop and not listen to things that I find completely irrelevant and inappropriate and threatening. So just know that.
So you made a mistake when you said argumentative earlier.
No, sir, I did not.
I can't
You have
argue?
15 minutes, I will stop
I
you
have 15
if
minutes to
necessary.
argue my position.
You do, as long as it's none of those things. If
So
it
I can be
becomes-
argumentative.
If you're going to interrupt me, as I told you
She
many
was
times
using it in the
already,
colloquial.
you don't have the
My
opportunity.
goodness.
So what I'm telling you is if you say anything that's inappropriate or that I deem threatening, or any of those things, I will stop you and your argument will end. Okay?
Can I see the timer though? I have trouble picking up the time. You got a battery in there?
I don't. So I will tell you when 5 minutes pass at each time and when you have 1 minute remaining. Does that
So I
sound
don't
fair?
get to see it then.
You don't. You may start now.
All right. This case started with a criminal case. He's correct on that, and he's not disputing that. But the thing is, there's been a first motion to disqualify you, filed by me. You filed no
Again, he is now supposed to be taking 15 minutes to explain why he should not be deemed a vexatious litigant. He's not even talking about the thing he's supposed to be talking about. He's arguing other things about the case that's closed.
response. You didn't file a challenge. The statute requires you to challenge it or arrange for another thing. In fact, it says that you have to arrange for another judge to hear the matter. And then, as a side note, it says the judge may challenge it.
Hey, Afghanistan.
But you refused to do it, and you had plenty of time to do it. So then when I filed to try and get the case reopened or disqualification, I filed 4 separate things. You ruled 4 separate times. Debit Bouchard is a key case in that. It says once a motion to disqualify is filed, the judge can proceed no further. And if they're later found to have been disqualified, any order they issued was void. Now, I filed this second motion to disqualify you based on new circumstances, new facts, new grounds, and it was completely unvexatious. If
I declare it. I declare it was not vexatious.
that's a word.
He does say vexatious. There you go. I was wrong.
And so the situation is that was filed yesterday. You got served because I've been told that the clerk's office or the clerk's counter is an extension of your chambers, and the rule requires it to be served on you in chambers, and that's what I did, just as I did the first one. So as to the first and second motion, Judge Brown did not issue a written, signed, and filed order. All you're going by is hearsay, in fact, of saying that he denied it. Russ versus Clark County School District is absolutely clear in the second motion to disqualify. And you are committing a criminal act. I am 70 years old plus.
Your age is irrelevant, sir.
And you're not supposed to oppress elderly people as
I lost the case and they won't let me keep acting like the case is still going. How can I make my age a part of this somehow? Elder abuse. Not letting me win the case and send you nonsense filings is elder abuse. Oh.
vigorous as you might find me. I am an
Speaking of abuse, do you guys remember when Kim Blandino in the 90s absconded with his children illegally and then told them their mom was dead even though she wasn't dead? That's a little abusive, Kim.
Elderly person, I am suffering from age and the related consequences of that. In Russ versus Clark County School District, it says clearly that no, well, I'll get to David Pichard first. This is from case law. It's David Pichard for the state case site versus 8th Judicial District Court in and for the County Clerk. This is a 2021 decision. We conclude that once a motion to disqualify is filed by a party, and I am a party, the subject judge can take no further action in the case until the motion to disqualify is resolved. Mr. Jessup is totally off his rocker when he says, I move to disqualify the court. No, you, Judge, if they put in a substitute.
You do that with every judge, Kim. Do you think people are stupid? We see every case you're a part of. You try to get every judge disqualified in the entire court. Like, does he think people don't see what he's doing? Does he think he's being sneaky and other people don't get it? We understand what you're doing. What you're doing is stupid and vexatious, which is why this is happening. Like, if I had to explain to someone what a vexatious litigant was, I would either show them Kim Blandino or that guy that sued some company because he accidentally jizzed on something and it like destroyed his computer. That was it OnlyFans? The guy that sued OnlyFans because his bodily fluids destroyed his computer or something? What was that? That was years ago. Anyway.
The judge here.
Oh, was it Twitch? You're right, it might have been Twitch.
I'm not trying to disqualify the court. It shows his ignorance.
We covered that on stream when it happened. It was years ago. That was probably back in 2020, 2022, maybe 2023.
Is a matter of law in that respect. Russ versus Clark County School District, it's worth quoting. It's on page 10 of the second motion to disqualify.
You heard his kids want nothing to do with him, but that's unconfirmed. He says he still has contact with them. At least his son. I don't know the reality of the situation. Nor does it really matter. I'm mostly interested in his vexatious stuff.
And I'm just going to cut to the highlight. Prior to the entry of a final judgment, the district court remains free to reconsider and issue a written.
Green Guy with a $3 tip says, Hannah, me and the wife learned of the 1981 movie Looker that's about companies using AI to make copies of actors to use their likeness and killing the person. Yeah.
Judgment different from its oral
Did you like
pronouncement, which means Judge Brown still could be reconsidering it unless I get a written, signed, filed orders of no consequence, which they say here. Here's the big money quote to that. And
he has recent photos with him on social media, so his kids are fine with him. That's a shame.
Russ versus Clark County School District citation 747 Pacific 2nd, 1380, 1382. An oral pronouncement of judgment is not valid for any purpose. The district court's oral pronouncement from the bench, the clerk's minute order, which you are threatening to issue in this, and even an unfiled written order, that's an unfiled written order, are ineffective
Yes, Smurf.
for any purpose and cannot be appealed.
The suit was 2020. It was dismissed as frivolous in 2021. Nice.
So even while he says that my remedy is appeal, there hasn't been any final written order on anything because apparently the municipal court, which used to be named a police court, wants to be still a police court, not really a court of record. Because you don't like giving written orders. Matthew Walker.
Haven't finished SG1 yet, no.
Reviewed the tape. I asked for a written order on his determination. He said, well, we don't really need to do it, but I'm going to grant your request. So.
Green Guy with a tip says, I'm 41 and all I want to do is sleep, garden, feed the birds, and pet my cats. Imagine being 70 and just not able to chill. Fuck, write a book or make scones or something.
That's why when it came over to here, he said it was for calendaring. But then you, sua sponte, said, I'm assigning it to me. And by the way, there never was any arraignment at that hearing. There was never asked for a plea. There was never a plea entered. And neither did you enter any plea. you are just worthy of being disqualified. You said, and you did not, I'll use the Nevada Commission on Judicial Discipline language in this regard. When they disciplined Michelle Levitt in 2015, they said she failed to be honest. In your affidavit, Judge, you failed to be honest, and this is some of the basis for disqualifying you. You say you didn't have any memory of it on February 18th, of the interaction we had as prosecutor and everything. Then all of a sudden, on the affidavit that you set forth, is there any way I could get some water? I've got a little bit of cotton mouth.
Keep going, sir.
Can I get some water?
Okay, anyway, so when you sua sponte asked for that or assigned it, there was nothing done as far as an arraignment. So the record is even incorrect on this.
Am I misremembering this, or I don't know if anyone else here follows the Kim Blandino stuff. Was there a situation in court before where he asked for water and then he knocked the water over? Because I feel like that happened once, but I don't remember.
Records are really a mess. And so, but the main thing here today is that, again, you're
Ashley, Kim, only God can judge me. God, if you insist, Kim, motion is to disqualify because of bias.
trying to bully and get me to actually waive.
You're good, KF Logan. I actually hit that button accidentally anyway. I've never used that button. I was just trying to raid you, and I accidentally hit the collab button. Yeah, if we were gonna do something like that, I'd inform you first. I wouldn't just like, let me in! I think that would be rude, so I apologize.
Rights by acquiescence to this farce that is going on here. It's ridiculous. He's not a licensed attorney. He cannot represent the city of Las Vegas or any corporate entity. He's actually engaging in the unauthorized practice of law.
Talk to the court, don't.
I'm sorry, Mr. Jessup is acting on the unauthorized practice of law because it's well established through all the case law that a corporate entity cannot be represented
Yeah, no problem.
by an individual person. The only person Mr. Hinch Jessup could represent pro se is himself if he was a plaintiff or a defendant in the case. So this thing about just jumping over this again, I mean, you are committing a crime, Judge, right now because you are oppressing me under color of office.
You're oppressing me by deeming me a vexatious litigant. Okay. I don't think so, considering everything even you've laid out makes you sound like a crazy person filing frivolous documents with the court, but if that's your argument...
The law is so clear. Erica Ballou just finished her suspension. She's left the state now, apparently. She's a district court judge. She did exactly what you did, only she didn't do it 4 times in a row. She had a motion to disqualify and still continue to make rulings in the case. Something is absolutely forbidden by statute, by case law, and now the Nevada Commission on Judicial Discipline has said that proceeding forward on a motion to disqualify is pending, they cannot proceed forward whatsoever. And so when Judge Brown, I agree that he orally pronounced that, but under Russ versus Clark County School District, there can be no, that can have no force whatsoever in law. I am entitled to a written order signed, filed with the court. And furthermore, if I went to, and I intend to, go to mandamus either the district court or the Nevada Supreme Court, or some extraordinary remedy.
Great, go do that. Why does he argue that? It's almost like a threat. Like, I'm gonna have to go appeal this. Good, appeal this. You have every right to do that. It's not a threat to say you're gonna appeal something.
If I have to get an extraordinary remedy to order this court to file the written filed order, because if I go now with just what you've given me as a record, quote record, which really isn't a record, they would say, hey, we gotta have a written signed order. You can't, what are we supposed to rule on? So we want to answer, we're gonna direct in order to be written and filed.
Is this a Sovsit lawyer? This is Kim Blandino. He's a unique Sovsit in that he doesn't use the typical Sovsit pseudo-legal stuff. He's spent his own time over decades developing his own pseudo-legal understanding of the law. So he is a sovereign citizen. He is not a lawyer.
Because all you've got is these tapes.
Or at least vexatious, crazy litigant following pseudo-legal principles that he discovered. If you don't consider that a sovereign citizen, that's fine.
They're not
But
going
this is the closest that this really fits, so.
ordinarily, they don't look at audio video tapes, very rarely. When Judge Scotty was on the hook for
Wonder what Kim's endgame looks like. At some point, he'll just be old enough that he won't be able to go to court easily anymore, and he'll just stop, probably. Or he'll die, before that even happens. It's not going to be interesting, probably. It's just going to peter out or end suddenly.
throwing that juror book against the wall, that didn't show up on a transcript. So they granted the motion to have those tapes when he showed that anger, and the jury was intimidated by this. What's my time?
6:25. 6 minutes and 25 seconds.
Left?
Yes.
Okay. So, you sitting up there, Judge, you're...
In his own mind, I wonder how he envisions winning. I think this is him winning for him. I think getting to speak in front of a court and act like he has some sort of authority is his win. I think he likes doing this.
Steadfast refusal to follow the law. That's why I wasn't laughing, but I'm smiling, and I thought you were telling me a joke, because, you say, I refuse to follow your directions,
Is going to court his hobby, basically.
You're refusing to follow clear law that a judge just got removed basically from the bench or not fulfilling what the Commission on Judicial Discipline did, and you did it 4 times. You've done it 4 times, and now this represents a 5th. So your position and Mr. Jessup's position is, because I'm trying to get a dismissal without prejudice is not a dismissal with prejudice. There is nothing in that statute to get a little bit to the merits, which I hesitate to do, but I wanted to, at least try and find some reasonable position that you could take. My neck would be under a sword of Damocles for an entire year if I let the motion to dismiss without prejudice stand. And so there is nothing in that statute nor any of the statutory scheme to say that even though a dismissal without prejudice is given, that one can't come back and ask to have it dismissed with prejudice. Nothing in there. There's nothing at all. And so I tried to talk to the city attorney. I was in here this morning to try and talk to him because in the other case, I filed an unopposed motion to dismiss without prejudice, because that's another violation of the code that you did. You vacated those orders, you vacated those motions, that I had 4 separate motions I had, and you did not even allow the city to respond in any way, which points...
I assume because they were the redundant motions that she'd already ruled on that you slightly changed the wording of to try and make it look like they were new filings.
Up to what my position is, that you want to act as a prosecutor judge up on the bench.
Has he ever been slapped with a contempt charge? Shockingly, I don't know if he has. For some reason, he's got some sort of main character field around him that causes judges not to find him in contempt constantly.
A predisposition toward prosecution. Now, I know judges come from both the defense bar and the prosecutorial bar, but you do not want to let go of that prosecutorial bar. I've seen you in court. I've witnessed you, and you, even with me now, I'm in charge. You're letting me make a record now only because you have to. In the past, you've cut me short. If you look at the citation, if you want to look at that, you had no jurisdiction. All it had taken was 2 minutes with Matthew Walker, or you to say, wait a minute, there's no municipal code violation charge. It was an NRS statute. Any judge could have said, well, we're transferring it to justice court, because you don't have jurisdiction over the Nevada Rights statutes except through the municipal ordinance that adopts those. But that municipal ordinance has to be charged on the citation. Besides which, every signature on that citation, and I've got the pink copy and the original what was in your file. That is the complainant's signature promising to appear. Not mine. I signed nothing on this. She's a complainant and she's not an official. She's not an officer. She signed as a complainant. This violates the statute as the complaint has to be filed or citation has to be filed by a law enforcement officer. She's a clerk over at the district court. And coincidentally, and God winking at me, her name happens to be Karen. Who is a Karen, if you know the current urban linguistics. A Karen is a meddling
Urban linguistics.
person.
You mean, are you trying to reference Urban Dictionary? That's just a word people use, man. Karen, that's been in the public use for like at least 15 years now, right?
A female
A minimum.
gender.
Your
and
Honor, I
sex.
object to the disparaging comment.
Give it the weight it's due. Keep going, Mr. Blandino. How much time do we have?
How much time?
2 minutes and 32 seconds.
Wow, good.
Midnight, thanks for 9 months, says in court calling people Karens. That's a sub baby. This sub baby's name is going to be Vexatious Litigant. This poor baby.
I really, normally, a real court will have some water. Is there any way I could borrow some water from
A
someone?
real court will have some water. Bring in a water! God! You're an adult. Do you not know to have liquids for yourself if you get thirsty, especially if you're going somewhere to speak?
Keep going. You
I can't borrow from somebody in the
should have
audience?
come prepared.
Borrow some water. No! Do not put your Kim Blandino germs in my water.
Huh?
Should have come prepared. Finish your argument.
I go to the district court, they have water. It's a real courtroom. This
He's such an asshole.
is somewhat of a, as I said, he's doing the unauthorized practice of law.
Stop looking at Mr. Jessup.
I'm sorry. He cannot represent this
Green Guy says, when do they start up putting up Halloween decorations after the 4th of July?
city of Las Vegas or the municipal court.
Why not? Halloween deserves more of the calendar. Take it from Christmas. It's too much.
Which is a part of the city of Las Vegas. I mean, what you're doing here is just absolutely, he told me at the window that he was prosecuting me. I mean, he was prosecuting me. He's allowed to sit as where an attorney would sit in this matter, or if this was a civil case, he'd be representing himself. But he certainly in no stretch of the imagination can represent a corporate entity. If I tried to do anything like that, I'd be run out so fast for the unauthorized practice of law and make anybody's head spin. And you're gonna allow this because he just happens to be a court administrator? I mean, clearly he doesn't have a grasp on the fact that
Tina, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome, raiders. How you doing? I'm Hannah. Today we're looking at sovereign citizens. They're conspiracy theorists that think the law works a very different way than it actually does. Right now we're listening to vexatious litigant Kim Blandino argue why the court shouldn't find him to be a vexatious litigant. He's very annoying. Make sure you check out Tina 2 here on Twitch.
when you move to disqualify, you don't disqualify the court. You might ask for a change of venue or something, but the disqualification motion is directed at a particular judge for particular reasons. And I did that both with the first motion to disqualify and with the second.
You have 1 minute.
So
I
you
am
know,
Sock and K
you're gonna
Moosey,
do
thanks for
what you wanna
following.
do, and then I'm gonna go to, I don't have the time to do it, I mean, but I'm gonna have to make time. And it's gonna be an incredible injury to me because of this oppression, this criminal oppression that you are doing upon me. And you do it with a
You're oppressing me unless you let me win the case. Sekhmet, thanks for 500 bits, says, how in the hell are you gonna borrow some water? Litigant, are you gonna give it back? Yeah, in about 4 hours. Resting Stitch Face, thanks for a 35 stream streak.
smile and a smiling face, but that doesn't negate the evil and wickedness behind this. Especially when you have Erica Ballou just coming off doing exactly the same thing, but only one time. You've done it multiple times. Multiple times. How much time?
30 seconds.
30 seconds. Well, no, I wasn't going to address that, and for the most part, I haven't addressed what his summary.
Spec, thank you so much for 1,000 bits and kicking off a hype train. If you want to help the hype train, you can always use bits or gift subs or become a subscriber yourself. K Moozy, thanks for 100 bits. Thank you so much. 27% to level 2 on the hype train.
Summons was, but I have to say, I went to his window and he said, you can ask to reply on that date of May 6th. So I don't know, it was unauthorized legal advice or whatever.
Green Guy says, I've just been staring at his 15th century monk hairdo. Normal Gamer Gal, thanks for 31 months, says that lady message was supposed to be attached to my anniversary. Good job, Twitch. Sekhmet with 500 bits says, accidental Pissmas reference, my bad. It's okay, Pissmas is banned. Mentioning it isn't.
But when normally you get a summons in a case, they say,
all right, here's what the message was. As someone who lost my mom a few years ago, I'm glad you're giving me something to watch. I can get stressed around this time of year, so I really appreciate it. No problem. Glad I can distract you.
you must reply or otherwise respond in 20 days.
Thank you, Mr. Blandino. Mr. Jessup, you have 9 minutes and 30 seconds. You have a vote.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll be brief again. A couple of things, even here today, I'm not sure the defendant even responded to the petition in his arguments. He really did not dispute the allegations and the statements that I made. His pattern is there.
You have a standing objection, Mr. Blandino.
His pattern is there. One of the things I would note, even though he's trying to relitigate a criminal case, this is a petition for vexatious litigant, and that petition is filed in a civil matter, and this court has jurisdiction over civil matters. And so, as standing, I do have standing as a court administrator to help make sure that this court is operating in an appropriate manner. In addition to that, what I would note here is that in his criminal matter, there is a notice of dismissal. It is permissive in law. That does not.
She already said you have a standing objection. We get it. You're mad.
That does not negate the defendant's ability to go to the appellate process, but continue to file pleadings and motions when there is a notice of dismissal and the jurisdiction of the court is lost is problematic. It creates vexatious. It's not proper procedure. And so for us to continue to have hearings and pleadings and go through the process of adjudicating all those things when they're very repetitive takes up the court's time and resources, when I would note that we've increased our caseload by over 100% in the last 2 years.
Oh, that sucks. 100%. How? What?
In addition to that, the defendant's pleadings are almost 700 pages all in themselves. Again, all very repetitive in that process. So with that, I would ask that the court does find Mr. Blandino to be vexatious, and that the court would limit his actions and I would even go so far as to say limit the type of pleadings that he can file with the court.
Thank you. Correct. So just to make a clear record, the petition was filed under a civil case number 26-029641, which is different than the criminal case that Mr. Blandino has referred to. After that petition was filed, you did file a motion to disqualify me, which was then sent down to Judge
Minute left
Brown,
on the hype
which
train.
complies with statute. Judge Brown heard it on April 20th, and he made an oral denial of that motion, which you admitted in your own particular argument.
no
Additionally, you obviously have seen it since you commented on the YouTube video at least 48 times by my count last night.
Has he commented on this? I'm a little curious. He does tend to show up in places that are talking about him. Oh, boy.
So, you've heard it. You have the opportunity to review it if you would like to. I don't believe there's any requirement that it must be written in or given to you in a written order for it to be valid, and so it stands as it is, which allows me the opportunity to hear this
Wait a
today.
minute, look at what, Judge? I
I
don't know
will
what
take
you
this
mean.
under submission based on the arguments I've heard and the moving documents that I've received, and I will issue an order. That will also touch on all of the pending motions that were put on hold that Judge Brown did in both the criminal and civil case. We are off record.
All right.
I'm gonna assume he was found vexatious. I'll let you guys know for sure when we get the actual ruling, but I would be very shocked if he was not found to be vexatious. Alright, let's check out this one, courtesy of Old Squishy Gardener's channel. Thanks for the hype train, everyone.
This is preposterous. This is nonsense. that he observed omnibus contracting with.
All right, court next calls the people of the state of Michigan versus Philip Andrew Leffers.
And yes.
This is all right. This is case number 26819 FY. We are
Jaden, thanks
here
for following.
for a probable cause conference. We're also here. Mr. Champion has filed documents on behalf of Mr. Leffers. One of those is an affidavit of non-acceptance of court-appointed counsel, assertion of constitutional rights.
Judge Wiggins is a new judge. He's only been on the bench less than 6 months. I wonder how many sovereign citizens he's come across so far. Is this going to be his first one?
And demand for self-representation.
Sekhmet, thanks for gifting a sub.
The other is an affidavit of notice and acknowledgement and acceptance of oath of public official. The other is a respondent's motion to set aside a default judgment. Before we begin today, I'm going to remind everybody of the court rules and local administrative orders regarding the court decorum and procedure. I'm going to ask if anybody is recording these proceedings that these please shut off their phones. I'm also going to ask that any phone be placed in a pocket or purse.
I think I'm going to have to squeeze this a little bit so we can see the defendant. Give me 1 second. Let's do... Wrong button. There's the button.
In such a way as it cannot be seen from the courtroom. If you could stick that in your side pocket, sir, I'd appreciate it. Appearances, counsel.
Lisa Doe for the people.
Robert Hertel for the Defender's Office. Your Honor, Mr. Champion was in
Hey, Frey.
Misaki this morning. I'm sure the court also took note that what we, from the Defender's Office filed, we included a qualifier of it not necessarily being endorsed by the Public Defender's Office. I wanted to make sure to stress that.
Correct, I understand that. So, Mr. Leffers, I know, I think you've been in front of me twice.
This is his third time dealing with this same defendant. Okay, so he knows. Cool.
And I think you were in front of Judge Ransom last time. I know your position regarding the authority of the court. To keep matters moving, though, I have to set a time limit as to how long I'm going to allow you to address the court. Hold that thought. I know you always have a concern, and rightly so, as to whether or not we're on the record. My concern is from where you're standing, I'm not sure the microphones are able to pick you up well enough to get an accurate record, and the court reporter is telling me that. So what I'm willing to do for purposes of this case is I'm glad you're enjoying
the streams too, Mercenary Elf.
put on notice that allowing you to pass behind the bar and enter into the well, I'm not agreeing to take jurisdiction over you. I'm allowing you to come forward so that you can make the appropriate record that you wish. Because my concern is, even if you project your voice, sometimes the microphones are just these little triangular things on the table. So my concern is they're not going to pick you up. So I would prefer that you come
The
in
wife is also a sovereign citizen. That's her in the back.
and
Okay.
sit next to counsel's
Where like the jury would normally sit.
table.
Or at least it looks like it. I guess maybe it's just a small court and that's what the gallery looks like.
I don't exercise jurisdiction over you
Looks
by
more like a jury area though.
doing that if you choose to come forward.
All right, so thank you.
All right. If you can come up and have a seat next to Mr. Hartel. Well, I'll give you, my desktop says 12:05. It looks like the wall clocks say 12:06. And it looks like they're synced up with each other. So go ahead.
Does the exact minute matter that much?
No disrespect intended. Are we on the public record, sir?
We are.
And as redundant as it might be, just please continue to be honorable. I am Phil Levers, lawful representative of the estate in question. I want it on the record. Y'all don't have jurisdiction. I voluntarily appear in this court today on special appearance. I move the court to take judicial notice of the Michigan
He talks very slowly. I know the caption mentioned that too. It's a little agonizing.
Constitution as ratified without subsequent amendments in the U.S. Constitution and your oath to them, Your Honor. What say you?
Well, as I said before, I acknowledge I took an oath to uphold the constitutions.
Thank you, sir. Moving forward, Article 3, Section 2, Clause 2 clearly states that
Why show up if they lack jurisdiction? Because then they'll arrest you with the authority they have over the jurisdiction.
when a state is a party to the case involving a citizen of that state, the Supreme Court has original jurisdiction.
Wait, what? Let me hear that again.
It clearly states that when a state is a party to the case involving a citizen of that state, the Supreme Court has original jurisdiction.
The Supreme Court has original jurisdiction over cases where states are versing other states. I don't know about the other thing you're saying, but I would imagine that would be the case where someone is suing the state, not where the state is charging someone with a crime.
Which makes these proceedings improper, violate the Constitution. It's the wrong venue. The request that I've
But I thought the only original jurisdiction was when it's state versus states. Not positive, though.
supplied, which I have to amend, because now there are extra things added. And Mr. Champion also, and RJ at the Defender's Office refused to allow us evidence.
Oh yeah, if you're new, we have a Discord. Here's a link. I misspelled that. Discord.
So I'm still being denied due process. Your Honor, for the record, I am making a clear and unequivocal demand to represent myself in this matter. I am invoking my Sixth Amendment right as recognized by the United States Supreme Court of Ferretta versus California, 422 U.S. 806, 1975.
So are you trying to say it's not a fair trial because you don't understand your rights?
We have read up on the
Because, like, that's what Ferretta was about.
Wilkinson's? Wiggins. What? McClaskill, that's right. The McClaskill and Wiggins. And implied change in law. I do not accept standby counsel, which affirms my right to proceed without counsel when the waiver is made knowingly and intelligently. I respectfully decline
Don't be mean, don't be mean, don't be mean.
any court-appointed attorney. You all are friends. Y'all know each other. You most recently took this seat, sir. I made friends with a lot of my coworkers in the past. I'm not going to get a fair trial here. Due process is being denied on that as well. I understand the nature of the charges against me, the penalty, and the risk involved in self-representation. I am making this decision knowingly, intelligently, and voluntarily. I ask the court to conduct any required inquiry to establish that my waiver of counsel is valid and to allow me to proceed pro se. Your Honor, I am making a clear and unequivocal demand to proceed pro se under Ferretta. I am not asking for different counsel. I am waiving counsel entirely. They are impeding upon my due process.
Oh yeah, I was thinking of Miranda, not Ferretta. Sorry, ignore me, I'm an idiot. Feretta's the making sure someone's competent, like a Ferretta canvas is making sure someone's competent to be their own attorney, so it has to do with it being your right that you can have your own attorney?
Jawkins didn't give me anything.
Or that you can be your own attorney, rather, sorry.
In fact, he got upset at me, cussed at me, told me to mind my own business, look over this. Jurisdiction is broken. Due process is broken. I'm not being treated fairly. That is my stance. If you want to indict me on a grand jury trial, please do so. Otherwise, this needs to be dismissed.
It's more than that, Felix. It's the whole thing where they have to read all of your rights to you.
with prejudice.
Understanding your right to like self-incrimination is a big part of that, and the instigating incident that I believe caused that case to even happen. But it's about all of them, at least the ones that are relevant to your arrest.
Full exoneration. Or pull the trigger. Let me go up there. I'll talk to them. It's been a pleasure meeting you two.
Well, it's been a pleasure meeting you too. When you say go up and talk to them, who do you mean?
Supreme Court
Okay, all right.
on a federal indictment, which as a national, we're in different jurisdictions, sir.
So I understand you want to represent yourself. I have a couple questions in that regard. So first of all, by representing yourself, do you believe that you can conform to the rules of the court, the published court rules?
With that, finding out other things. Most recently about my hometown, the past 2 judges have been removed by the tenure council. So canon 1 through 5, indeed, it also expresses that you're the guardian, prosecutor is the guardian, lawyers are guardians of our liberties and the constitutional right. So when someone pro se makes a mistake, and even unpro se, the prosecutor is supposed to be there to uphold justice, not pervert it.
Yes?
And that's what this is about. So canon 1 through 5, if I make a mistake, please correct me. If I file something wrong, the clerk has let me and my wife know, okay, well, this isn't how we do.
It's not their job to fix your paperwork for you. Like, it's gonna get called out if you file something incorrectly or something's incorrect within your paperwork. Obviously, it's gonna come up and it's probably gonna get stricken from the record for those reasons, but it's not the job of the attorney on the prosecution side, nor the judge to check your work for you. When you decide to go pro se as a litigant to be your own attorney, which is never a good idea, but people do it, you cannot expect to be held to a different standard than a knowledgeable lawyer who went to law school. You are, at least in theory, held to the same standard. You can't be expecting other people to help you like this. If you want help, you need to get an attorney, either from the state or look for a private attorney.
Do this. We can accept an amendment, you write it in, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So I will do the best I can. I am very different since dying, coma, botched surgery.
Judges never hold them to that standard, though. No, they're definitely much more lax, but there's still a point at which there is a limit to their generosity, let's say, with pro se litigants.
Surgeries. I'm a permanent head trauma case. My short-term memory is gone.
Oh, it's a really bad idea to be your own lawyer then. Wow, that's a terrible idea. You should definitely get a lawyer.
So unless I build a consecutive day after day, that same time, every time, I'm not going to remember. And Einstein said, it is worthless to waste brain power on things that you can write down.
Is that even a real Einstein quote? He's one of those people just make shit up about. I don't know.
So as the independent party here, and just so you know, I don't know how, I'm guessing you've probably done some checking into me, but I don't know. Before I was the judge,
Who gives a fuck what Einstein said? He's symbolic of genius, right? He is a symbol that in the public consciousness is associated with genius. So if Einstein said it, it must be true, is the thought process. Because he was smart at one thing, he must be universally wise about everything.
was the prosecutor. Before I was the prosecutor, I was a public defender. So I've played roles in all 3 parts here. So I
watched your videos while you were a judge. I watched the one of the 2 judges.
Yeah, he's an archetype. Thank you.
That were arrested, and you released them. You dismissed their case. They were arrested over 13th or something over by a body shop, running meth. But the officers, same two officers that are involved in my case, tandem, like they do most of the times, which is why they were so close together on my case. They had to realize that they had to be closer together after you threw that case out. They broke the Constitution. I watched what you did, and I watched 2 other videos, which they fully got what they deserved. They broke the law unequivocally. But
Hydrate.
those 2 gentlemen, yes, had the Constitution not been broken, you would have been just fine with proceeding forward with not dismissing their case. But on the grounds that the first thing that the officers did, they broke the law, and then they broke the Constitution, which is exactly what's going on here.
Why are you talking about other cases? Why is the judge even letting him go on about this?
My wife and I have been involved in several auto accidents where the Cadillac Police Department refused to fill out a police report. There's not $1,000 worth of damages. The lady dragged her vehicle all the way down the whole side of our truck, from the bumper to the front quarter panel. The captain of the Cadillac Police Department and 5 others were there, and they wouldn't write a ticket. So these 2 officers and other officers state, well, we don't have to do anything on private property. Well, this whole thing was on private property.
Yes, that's true. I've heard that before. Basically, the police don't write a report if it's on private property, and you have to fill out your own thing. Seems like a pain in the ass, to be honest, but, you know, it is what it is.
The officer also stated that he observed me driving. That's a lie. Falsus in unum, falsus in omnibus, false in one thing, false in all. And if you begin it by a lie, how can you be credited to be believed at all? So the officer stated that he had probable cause because he observed me driving. That's a lie. Jurisdiction, lies. You're an honorable man from what I've seen.
So where I was going with that is that, yes, I can provide you leniency, but I can't do it in such a way that it's detrimental to the other side.
Correct.
My side, I'm kind of like an umpire. I call balls and strikes, so to speak. So while
So to
yes, I
speak.
can give you leniency, I can't spoon feed you things as to what to say, what to file, that sort of thing. So
We
where
haven't covered Cameron in a while. I need to check in on him and see what he's been up to.
I guess my next question is if I do allow you to represent yourself, would you be willing to have an attorney somewhat of counsel where they wouldn't necessarily be the attorney of record, but you would be able to talk to them about, proper, how to properly file something,
Like a
how
standby
to, if you have any
counsel.
legal questions, how to, interpretation of the court rules, that type of thing. Is that something that you would be open to? So you would be representing yourself. You would just be able to rely on them as a reference.
The problem with that, sir, with all due respect, I asked my wife,
Baseball made you trans? Was it because baseball is so boring it fundamentally broke your brain until your sense of self changed?
and I asked Josh
Boom, roasted baseball. Suck it.
for the supposed 14-second video of not our truck. Whether those are the victims or not, that wasn't my truck. In that 14-second video, that wasn't my truck. Now, I do not accept the fact that I had to watch it at the defender's office, and I still have been refused because policy and procedure, because others have put this stuff out on public notice.
Just a peach with $1 tip says, if I remember correctly, Einstein was talking about learning to do things like a math problem versus memorizing the answer. It was about don't waste learn on stuff that can't be used on other things.
My wife has had her video of
Learn.
her accident
I get vaguely what you're saying, but the wording was a little strange.
because she had to take up the reins and take care of herself through her job. Nobody knows about that video.
Probably don't waste time. Don't waste time learning stuff that, okay.
Nobody's seen that video. And most recently, we found out a bunch of other things. There's a conflict of interest. And the prosecution didn't say anything. My wife who was ran over and her legs are destroyed was made a victim. She's being made a victim again.
That's in
because
this case?
Yes, sir.
All right,
She was
So-
removed as victim and placed as a witness.
so let
That's
me,
mis-
so let me ask you, and I understand.
Green guy with a tip says, so he had an accident on private property and the cop wouldn't write a ticket because he was outside the cop's jurisdiction. Well, that is what you want, right?
why
I-
why we're getting a little heated, but
Sorry.
hold on, let me get my question out. So when you say you haven't been provided discovery, do you mean that it hasn't been physically handed to you, but you've had the opportunity to at least watch it?
Discovery, as I'm learning, is a multiplicity of things. And they have specific names.
So let me be more frank, because again, I'm on a time clock here.
Correct.
So
Counting.
let me just ask you, have you seen the video? Not has it been provided to you, but have you seen at least what they're saying is the video?
No.
Okay. Have you seen the
Because
police
the
report?
Defender's office, while playing it, it stopped. There's an error. And the video was never allowed to be loaded back up and seen past a specific point, and it crashes every single time.
But they at least,
RJ stated, he's like, I just watched all of these. I don't understand what's going
but
on.
they at least attempted to play it for you and then it crashed,
I wasn't.
presumably.
Discovery means that the evidence goes to me.
No,
can
I understand,
stand and
but
look
just
over it.
focus on my question for a minute.
The hilarity of him trying to explain discovery to a judge.
My question is, were you given the opportunity to at least try to watch the video? I understand there were some technical issues, but did you at least,
Yes.
you were given that opportunity?
Yes.
And were you given the opportunity to review a police report? Maybe not handed, but did you at least, and don't talk about what they told you because I don't want to get into attorney-client privilege. But did you at least have the opportunity to generally say, okay, this is what the police report says. What do you say? And then kind
He
of.
already
merge
said
together.
there's no police report.
The insinuation of attorney-client privilege against her, please.
Well, I had to be careful of that because I had a.
I guess maybe there's a report of them being called out, but not necessarily a report for filing with insurance.
Counsel.
Correct.
So I'm setting that aside right now. So at least by the time that you had counsel appointed, that's what I'm considering attorney-client privilege.
All right.
Not from here forward, just during that time period that you were with either Mr. Jockins or you were with Mr. Champion.
Yes.
Did you at least have the opportunity to go through a police report? Maybe not being handed to it or handed it.
We're given the addition to the police report. We were given the police report originally by Mr. Jockins,
Okay.
which at the bottom of the police report, and there's no signature of any witness.
All right, Mr. Leffers, I need you to focus on me because this is one of the rules of the court.
Yes.
It's not appropriate for you to be interacting with a member of the audience. And I realize that you're married and you're one, but
Memory.
yeah, I understand. And that's where why I have concerns about the memory aspect and allowing you to just represent yourself on your own. And that's one of the reasons I'd asked that question about whether you'd be open to of counsel situation where they're there for you to talk about the case. Sorry.
As long as it's completely, and if we have to sign an NDA, fine.
Why would you have to sign an NDA? There's already attorney-client privilege.
Prefer not to. I mean, I have nothing to hide. But if we have to sign a contract stating, I'm not contracting with this, my constitutional rights are broken. I know what lawyers are about. We've read it. Now, that's not saying everyone's that way because there's moral and honorable. But most of them just want that money. And I know where their allegiance lies.
I don't know how to break this to you, man, but public defenders do not get rich. You're acting as though public defenders are raking in the money.
It's just like, I didn't know that a judge also has a banker's oath. But yes.
So,
No, there's no banker's oath, weirdo.
all right.
I will do my best.
So it sounds though that you want to represent yourself, but you're okay with having an of counsel position that you can talk with, make sure things are being filed properly and that sort of thing. Not that they're representing you, but just to be able to bounce ideas off, so to speak.
I reserve all rights through equity and trust law and under the Constitution. And as long as that's not violated, I don't have a problem.
All right.
That's what I'm saying. Now,
So if I
Green guy says he's doing much better than 10-second Tom.
allow you to
True.
represent
50 First Dates is actually a good movie,
yourself,
I think.
are you going
It's an Adam Sandler movie, so it's got problematic shit, but overall, I think that's a cute movie.
to be able, again, to comport yourself? Because realize that in the grand scheme of things, right? The Supreme Court's up here. I'm the district court. I'm way down here. There's lots of courts to get through before you get to the Supreme Court for appellate purposes. So a lot of the things that I'm left to decide are necessarily what the law says, what the Constitution says, the Constitution that is currently before me. There isn't, the appellate courts would have to tell me I'm wrong. Do you understand that?
sir, but we could read the Constitution.
No, I
That's
understand.
not how it works. The Constitution is interpreted. That's one of the main things that courts do these days, is interpret things in the Constitution, depending on the court, of course.
That, but what I'm saying,
Article 3, Section 2.
but what I'm saying is, because I've also noticed that in some pleadings, you said that you're not a 14th Amendment citizen, but hold on, but yet in the last pleading, you said I was violating your 14th Amendment.
It's a compilation of both.
Well, but
sir.
see, it can't be.
It's a combination of both. I'd like to have my cake and eat it too. I'd like to have all of the rights of someone who lives here, but none of the responsibilities to follow the rules.
So,
But it is,
but see,
actually.
that's where things kind of go off the rails, because you would agree with me, right? That if you are not a citizen of the United States, let's say you go to Japan, for example, all right? Are you not then subject to Japanese law if you're on their land? Whether or not you're a citizen, you would still be subject to Japanese law, correct?
No,
No, it's,
No, all right, let's get you a ticket to Japan. Let's go.
it's not an analysis. It's
If
you
the
still
presumption-
retain your U.S. rights and citizenship, but the minute you would step into that territory of Japan, you're then subject to their laws.
anything that abrogates the Constitution and its amendments is unlawful.
But the
In America? Does he think the American Constitution works globally? Does he think if you're in a foreign country and you're an American, they need to try you with American laws? Oh my God! That explains a lot. I've asked this question before. You guys know this. I've asked, like, well, if they went to a foreign country, certainly they would know that, like, even though they're not a citizen there. No, apparently they're just delusional about that too. Okay. Well, that's a shame.
Constitution doesn't apply in Japan, right?
Well, it does.
No. No, it doesn't. They have their own laws. They have their own foundational legal documents. What are you talking about?
Because what national are you?
It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant.
That's also protected internationally. To the
Listen, look, no, has he heard about Johnny Somali?
International Court.
Pterodota says, wow, fucking wow. Carpcosian with a link.
Me! Oh my God!
We don't piss on hospitality. I won't allow it. Dillis Filler says, is this ethnocentralism or something dumber? It's nationalist. They call it, For some sovereign citizens, it's a racial thing. For others, it is not. Let me put it that way.
Mr. Leffers, I will allow you to represent yourself, but I'm just forewarning you that you are going to be held to the same standards and procedures, whether or not you agree with those standards and procedures, because that is what I'm bound by. The standards and procedures that have been set by the Supreme Court, the laws of the state of Michigan. And when I say the Supreme Court, I mean both the Michigan Supreme Court and the United States Supreme Court. The laws of the state of Michigan and to the interpretations and case law of the, when it comes in regards to interpretations of the the US Constitution and the Michigan Constitution. Now, I realize that because you've cited the 1850 Michigan Constitution. In this court's eyes, I believe it's the 1963 is the date. Don't hold me to that exact date, but the latest version of the Constitution. When citizens are able to pick and choose which things they agree with in the Constitution and which things they don't agree with the Constitution, that's where things run afoul. And that's where it takes a court a lot higher than me to make that decision. So it's a long-winded way of saying is I am only going to be bound by what is appropriate for this court. If you need to take it to higher courts, that's certainly your prerogative. But moving forward, can you at least agree to that?
Okay, so from what I remember is that the judge or the prosecutor, depending on how they file it, in which the prosecution filed it incorrectly, especially after finding out about my nationality status.
Your nationality is irrelevant to everything happening here.
Nationality status is protected by the Constitution, and the Supreme Court has ruled on that. So
You are incorrect.
time's over. Now, the prosecuting office is supposed to refile the paperwork then and go for a grand jury indictment.
So there's a proper procedure in which you have to go through to do that. And this is not that proper procedure.
And if the prosecutor doesn't want to do that, then it falls upon you to make the decision. Where the truth is what it is. And Ezekiel 3:18-9.
Okay, quoting scripture is irrelevant in court. It has nothing to do with the legal system, ideally. Hydrate.
If we are seeing someone in sin and we don't say something, on the day of judgment, whatever you have seen, for anyone you didn't say something to, you will be judged for.
I have to use the bathroom real quick. While I'm gone, Chair will tell you all about... No, this is too heavy. Spice and Wolf. Be right back. Continuing. Thank you for the patience.
So, sir, I respect you and your honorable ways that I've seen. The Constitution and my rights are being broken and trampled on. My due process is broken. I cannot get an impartial anything in this county
So what'll happen is if I allow you to represent yourself, you would then be able to file the demands for discovery and the prosecutor would have to turn over to you what they have for discovery.
Well, it's not just that.
No, but I'm just saying,
Well-
so that's one, that would alleviate one concern that you have.
Yes.
And then I understand.
Information to be executed and relieved over to me, which entail all of it. The financials. 12 bonds that have been
Well,
opened up.
so they're,
EE
they
bonds,
can
I
only,
bonds,
so, hold on, so they can only provide what they have at their,
anything that is
disposal.
charged.
they can only provide what they have at their disposal. They can't go out, or they're not required to go out and seek information that, let me rephrase that. They don't have
He expects the prosecution to go out and do investigation for him.
to go out and generate discovery. If they don't have it, they don't have it. Does that make sense? So if they don't have a specific bond that you're requesting, they don't necessarily have to go out and get that bond. Do you understand that?
With the paperwork I filed, with the UCC laws on it, it clearly dictates and describes all the evidence that I'm asking for. Now, the amendment,
So, and this is where you get to step in as the lawyer. What authority do you have? What case law do you have that says that the UCC applies in a Michigan state criminal charge?
the fact that it's tied to the case,
How?
It's not. It's not.
because the bonds got opened up through the case number.
But
So the thing
So,
that's attached to.
where
the
do you
case
get that?
number
Where do you
is
get
my
that from?
Social security number. You can look it up on Treasury Direct.
But that's not my responsibility.
No, it's not.
So-
In due diligence and learning, we started looking. Multiple friends are helping. So they're pointing us in the right direction. So we have literally seen it, we have photographed it. Over 12 bonds have been opened up with a numerical value over $500,000. As of right now, over $500,000 in EE bonds and I bonds have been opened up off of this case. The only thing attached to this case is my social.
The reason they find stuff is because QSIP numbers have the same number of digits as social security numbers. So if you put in a social security number, there's a decent chance that some security out there has that assigned as a QSIP number. So if you were to put in your own social security number, if you're an American, something might come up. It's unrelated to you, though. It just has the same random number designation that you happen to have been assigned for your social security number. They're not related other than that. They happen to share the same random string of numbers, basically.
Social security number, which my estate owns.
So who opened the bonds?
Well, I would have to be given time to file the paperwork, which I've already been filing. I've already filed with the Trade Commission on the fraud that I did not authorize these, and I want to see the wet ink signatures. I also filed for the fiduciary change with the Treasury Secretary. The ID will be coming back. That was wonderful, because there's a few documents that I have to scan my ID for before I can submit them to the state to continue moving through for my nationality status in whole.
Just a Peach with a tip says, are we going to watch the old Squishy Gardener vid I talked about the other day? I did pull it up. This one, I think. Was it this one?
Over there.
Maybe. I have it pulled up. We'll cover it at some
Nah,
point
it-
either way, if that's the one I was thinking of. Or the one that you're thinking of, sorry. Dillis Filler says, I wonder what he'd say about social security number collisions. That is, a number of people share the same social security number. Oh, I didn't know that could happen.
And who do you apply to for your nationality status in whole? Because you were
Well, it's actually
born.
a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. You gotta set the IRS correct. You gotta set the Treasury Secretary correct. I gotta send a letter to the government. I gotta send a letter to the head sheriffs. And like when we lived in Alabama, it was a sheriff's director board or
The
whatever.
way the judge is allowing this guy to opine and he's just asking him questions is terrible for judicial economy. Really good for this show, though. I find it really interesting what he answers to some of these questions.
They had a meeting every week.
Thanks, Jason Proxy. That's what the numbers are for. So not random, I guess, but you know what I mean. A string of numbers.
I'd have to send a letter of notification of the revocation of the driver's license and driving privately. And already
Okay, so you were driving without a license. That's illegal.
switching over the titles to the trust, just running low on equity. Which is why the other reason her case is tied to mine. Misconduct. They removed her as the victim. She can't use her place properly. And she's doing the best she can. We would both be working. I had to stop working because my foreman found out about my CFC. And he tried to squish me with 6,000 pounds of steel that I just got done welding up.
What's CFC? Hold on, what? It's gotta be different than the Merriam-Webster dictionary definition. Because that says chlorofluorocarbons, but I assume he's not talking about that. CFC. Felix says criminal sexual conduct? Oh. Well, no, he said CFC, not CSC. Let me read. Maybe I misheard. Let's see.
Stop working because my foreman found out about my CFC. And he tried to squish me
Okay, it might have been CSE, in which case criminal sexual conduct would count. I don't know.
with 6,000 pounds of steel that I just got done welding up. That was the second job. That was DCL, Traverse City. Before that, it was Stage Right out of Clare. They loved me so much, they didn't want me going to third. They offered me first. After I got out of temp service, because I got into the temp service because I have documentation from the SOARS department stating you don't have to register because you are not a Michigan resident. We support jurisdiction and constitution.
You are a Michigan resident, though. K Moozy, thanks for 200 bits. Thank you so much.
But once you sell your house and you're no longer domiciled in Adams County, Illinois, you have to get a Michigan license. So I registered in the private and have registered in the private of my own free will and volition to prove I am not a threat to a community. That if there ever is a problem, you can call me up because the only ones that can see me are y'all.
What do you mean by that?
When we moved down to Illinois, they sent a letter. They never would have prosecuted me. They never would have charged me. Here's a letter stating that as long as you're an Illinois
Is he in the same county as Afro Man? No.
resident, you
This is not even in the same state. This is in Michigan.
will never have to register another day in your life. Wow, I was able to hold a job for 13 years. Didn't get
And I
pushed
don't think the other place he was living was it either.
off, didn't get hit, didn't have people trying to kill me. That's why we left Michigan. And it went to our children in public school. They were torn.
James asks, why are there so many Michigan judges on YouTube? Honestly, because I watch court stuff outside of your stream. The reason is because during COVID, Michigan opened up their courts online because, you know, courts are supposed to be open to the public to witness. So they started broadcasting their Zoom court hearings and in-person hearings online on YouTube and stuff. And they just decided that it was good for the openness of the court, and many of the courts have continued to do so in Michigan. So yeah, that's why you get so much court stuff from Michigan, because we broadcast it online. It gets live streamed online, lots of courts. So people get clips and trials and stuff.
Tormented, tortured, but I have documentation proving all
Yeah, it's like Florida and Florida Man.
the way from Ottawa County Ottawa, Granville,
Also, peninsulas drive you insane.
Grand Rapids, Mecosta. State and I didn't have to register. And I am doing it of my own free volition to protect those that might think nefarious ideas about it.
So because I noticed one of the pleadings that you filed before, you mentioned that you were I think you said you were a resident of Kent County?
Yes, sir. That's our in care of address.
Okay, all right. Now, so when you said that we're the only ones that are able to see you, are you talking about because of the registry?
Oh, no, that's been changed since I sold my house.
Okay,
The house was locked up for about 2 years because the neighbors were so bad. Liquid Drano bombs over the house, attempted arson of the house. Yeah, and we homeschooled.
so when you,
Oh, they homeschool their kids. I'm sure those kids are going to turn out great. I'm sure that they'll be able to compete with their peers and won't be socially stunted whatsoever. We need to ban homeschool. We need to make homeschool so illegal. And while we're at it, let's get rid of private school. Let's go.
you said that we're the only one able to see you, I guess I need
Well,
some more,
no.
no, hold on, I need some more clarification. What did you mean by we're the only ones who are able to see you?
Okay, so the SOARS department,
Okay,
when we first came back to Michigan, I contacted them. They said, well, we're gonna have to look into this. We don't really know what to do. So they got back with me, stated, you don't have to do anything. Like, what do you mean? Like, you don't have to register. You don't have to notify anybody anywhere you go in the state of Michigan. You're not a Michigan resident.
okay.
I'm like, okay, but I was charged in Michigan way back then, and I don't want anyone thinking anything wrong. The SARS department flat out stated, look, if you want to register, you can. We will keep you in the private registry section. We're the only ones that will see you are law enforcement. It's like,
Okay,
that's
so
it.
I know
Okay,
what you
I'll
mean.
do that.
Okay, all right.
So SARS department.
Just a peach with a tip says, oh, so the shape of the land makes me crazy. Does the size matter? Because the peninsula I'm from is much smaller than Michigan. Size always counts.
And when I went to Ottawa County.
It's not the only vector, but it's part of the equation.
Fillmore County Complex. They're like, wait, what's going on? You're not a sex offender. I'm like, no, I'm not.
So they were gonna register
They
you.
didn't know what to do. They had to get on the phone with the SOARS department. I was in that waiting room over an hour and a half, allowing them time to get everything situated. And then I willfully went on the sex offender registry that I didn't have.
Willingly. I willingly went on the sex offender registry. I'm gonna guess it wasn't your choice. Willingly kind of implies it wasn't mandatory. I don't think anyone adds themselves to the sex offender registry for funsies, you know?
Have to do because the SARS Department of Michigan respects jurisdiction and constitution.
All right, Mr. Leffers, I am going to allow you to represent yourself. Again, we've got an understanding that you're going to do the best that you can to be compliant with the court rules. Also, I'll allow the Public Defender's Office to remain on as of counsel so that you can reach out to them. Not saying that they're going to represent you, but they're going to be there for a resource for you. Okay? And so that means from here on out, you're going to be able to represent yourself and you're going to be held to the same standards as we discussed. And I can give you some leniency, but not a
I
ton.
gotta let you know though. This can't proceed. I
It can. It's going to.
cannot be a part of fraud.
But so Mr. Leffers, this is where we get into the procedural aspect of it. This is where you will be able to file motions. You'll be able to conduct the hearing. And then that's where you'll be asking me to make a determination as to whether or not the case goes forward. But understand there's only certain ways that can be done in a criminal matter. So just because you stand here today and asking for that, what I have is your word, but the prosecution doesn't have the
After all
ability.
this, the judge is allowing to represent himself without being sent for competency. I know this is the third time he's seen him. I'm hoping he already sent him for competency, because especially with the brain, the like head damage, like he has self-admittedly had a traumatic brain injury. Like, don't get me wrong, I think he would still be into this without the traumatic brain injury. His wife is. But still, I don't think it's helping the case. So, if they haven't already done a Feretta hearing, or sorry, if they haven't already done some sort of competency evaluation, they really need to.
To put anybody on to contradict your word. And so we would have to have an evidentiary hearing, which is essentially what the preliminary examination would be for. And that is, and that's the next step in the proceed. Well, actually, the next step would be for you to meet with the prosecutors, see if there was a way to resolve the case, which I understand if you don't want to. And then the next step after that would be what we call the preliminary examination. And that's where witnesses would take the stand. They would testify. You would have the ability to cross-examine those witnesses. You would have the ability to call your own witnesses. The prosecution can examine your witnesses or cross-examine your witnesses. And then you can make your argument then as to whether or not it's whatever the arguments you want to make as to whether or not the case should be dismissed. Today's not that proper time. That proper time is you're gonna get it, but it's gonna be at some different point in the future. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Ask you one last thing.
Yes.
Victoria incumbent Unis from Bondi. The burden of proof is on the plaintiff that originally brought the charges.
Correct. No one is saying the opposite of that. That is correct.
That's correct. And when I say that you get to make an argument, you don't have to present any evidence. They can get up there and put on their witness, and you can argue as to why I should or should not move the case forward.
Okay. I need to be allowed full access to everything. Not, well, set up an appointment. I get up at 2 a.m. I
Okay.
go to bed at like 12:30 at night.
You're sleeping an hour and a half a night. Do you think you'll be a good representative for yourself with that little sleep? That, like, would actually mentally impact you very severely.
So I have a lot of time on my hands.
So what'll
I need
happen
time
is
to look at things,
you'll-
and having to set up
you,
an appointment.
so there won't necessarily be an appointment with the prosecutor's office. What'll happen, and now it's been a while, hold on. It's been a while since I've been there, and this is part of the procedural aspect of this. You will have to file a demand for discovery. All right. You'll have to file that with the prosecutor. Now that you are going to be representing yourself, you would file a demand for discovery with the prosecutor's office. Outline everything that you want them to produce, understanding that they only have to produce what they have in their records. They don't have to go out and find things to help substantiate your case, right?
Correct.
Now, they do have a certain amount of time in which to do that with. So it's not like you can file today and request it tomorrow. They've got a reasonable amount of time, which the Michigan Supreme Court has decided is 21 days to comply with that request.
Okay, that was a quandary that we came across. We've seen 5 days, 7 days, 21 days. We couldn't exactly pinpoint anything for sure. So thank you for
Hey,
clarifying.
Cal.
Yes, the Michigan Rules of Criminal Procedure adopted by the Michigan Supreme Court says that they have 21 days to comply. If they don't comply within that 21-day period, then there's other avenues that you have to either force compliance, or if it's such a out disregard for the rule, it could result in a dismissal of the case. That's a very extreme based on just discovery, but that is a potential outcome there.
Okay, and all the times before this don't matter?
So all
What do you mean? Before you were your own attorney? Yes, you're not allowed to file things before you're your own attorney.
the times before,
Or at least they won't be taken seriously.
you were represented by counsel, so those requests would have had to have come through counsel, which is how Mr. Champion got it and how Mr. Jockins got it.
But that goes against what I was stating, and I objected to it.
I understand that, but again, that goes into the procedures that the Michigan Supreme Court have set up for the courts to follow. But now that you're representing yourself, you are in a completely different place than you were before.
May I be candid?
Sure.
There's no way what he says is going to be good. Can I be candid? You're not already being candid?
So does that mean that, all of the court dates up until now was the inquiry competency test?
No, what? No.
Oh, nobody,
Just the
nobody,
language.
no, nobody has requested competency on you. Well,
No,
Mr.
no.
Jockins did, but we
Yeah,
didn't even
yeah,
get to that
whatever.
point. Yep. No, what this,
Meaning. that-
what we've been doing is I want to make sure, because as I said, I'm the independent party here. I want to make sure that your rights
He thinks it was a secret test.
are protected, that you're getting the adequate representation and the right information that you need in order to make sure that your rights are protected. Now, I understand that you might not agree with some of those procedures and it might not be moving as fast as you wanted it to, but that is why I don't remember whether I had appointed requested Mr. Jockins an appointment for him, but I know I specifically, when we removed him from the case, I do specifically remember requesting another appointment of an attorney. Because again, once you step into the role of representing yourself, that puts you at a whole different
Yes, he thinks he passed.
level as far as
The
compliance
fake
with court
test
rules,
that doesn't
procedures,
exist.
appellate rights, as opposed to having representation. So I wanted to make sure that you had every available opportunity to you. Now, all these dates that you've had, they all go to what we call the speedy trial clock. So because you are charged with a felony, you have to be, because you're not in custody, it's a little bit different. But we all look at the speedy trial clock as being 180 days before you should be at trial. All right, because you're not in custody, there's some grace given to that. But all of these then look at whether or not who these delays should be accounted against. So all these dates you've had were not in vain. They're one to make sure that you're getting the appropriate representation, and they will be considered when it comes time to a speedy trial clock decision, if you get to that point. You may prevail at preliminary examination, we don't have to worry about speedy trial.
In reading, if I agree, then that means I'm ignoring all of the past times. That the things I've stated about the Constitution, Article 3,
I don't know exactly what the charge is. They haven't said.
Section 2, Clause 2.
Altered Undying says, Peeps, just finished watching Suspiria. Which version?
Are being ignored, and I'm okay with that. I'm not okay with that.
You're not saying that you're okay with that. What you're doing is you're going to get your opportunity to raise those issues. It's just not right now. It's going to be at a point, a couple dates down the road.
I object to all of it.
That's not a proper objection. You can't just say, I object motions generally and everything. It needs to be specific. Will Kale with a 5-stream streak. Thank you.
All right, I'll note your objection.
But if I have to go through this, fine.
So I'll note your objection. I'll allow you to represent yourself. The public defender's office will remain on in of counsel capacity. We will reset this then for a probable cause conference. Now, the other issue, hold on. The other issue is you had also filed a motion to set aside a default.
Yes, sir.
There has been no default judgments entered. So
That came in the mail. We didn't know what the heck was going on.
Hey, green guy.
Which-
Green guy.
That, no offense.
what came in? Was there a civil infraction with this?
Yes. It was slipped in when I left. I didn't
Oh,
fully
yes.
grasp.
There is a civil infraction?
It's a fail to pay booking fee.
All right, so
Sir,
we will,
in that-
I will grant that
I
request.
got an object to it though. We,
Yep, go ahead and object.
sorry. My wife and I went in on a Saturday before I went and worked with Bob, Travis's cousin. And the gentleman on the phone said that the booking fee was $12 and you could pay it at the kiosk 24/7. So we went in and we paid the $12. And it apparently still stated that monies was owed, fiat was owed to the kiosk, which didn't make any sense unless all the dumping of whatever charges were added on. But we have the receipt for the $12 of the booking fee that we were informed personally on the phone from a Wexford County officer. And the website also says that it's a $12 booking fee. Then we got that, I got that in the mail. This is preposterous. This is
Sorry, I was muted. I apologize. I was saying, I think it's really stupid that they charge you to get booked into jail. That's ridiculous. There's absolutely no reason for that. And Altered Undying says, wanted to watch the Three Mothers trilogy for Mother's Day. Nice.
nonsense.
All right, so what I'm going to do is we will, I will set aside that default. And
Thank you,
then
sir.
we can deal with that in a normal course of business.
How's my throat? It's still rough. It doesn't hurt as much as yesterday, and it still sounds off, but it's healing.
In regards to that.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so Mr. Leffers, you can go out to the front window where you checked in. Is there somebody out there to give him a court date?
Yeah.
And get your next court date, okay?
Yes, can we speak about that, please?
Yes, very briefly, because I'm
When-
now
when
an
are
hour
you
behind.
thinking?
So
He's an hour behind. I wonder why.
my thought is PCC would be reset for next Tuesday. Will that work for you or no?
Honestly, no.
Okay, so will the following Tuesday, which would be the 19th, will that work?
19th would be fine.
Okay, so we will reset it for the 19th. That will give you time to get discovery requests to the prosecutor. And it'll be set for 10:30 on the 19th.
Now,
You should have put this guy at the end. He's a newer judge, so I would imagine he's still figuring out the judicial economy of how to deal with sovereign citizens.
means that I will be able to have all the discovery within my,
So remember, they've got 21 days to comply, but my guess is since they provided it to two different attorneys, they can probably get it to you within a 2-week time period.
well, no, I'm not
So-
talking about the time frame, sir. What I mean is the actual tangible, me being able to download all these
Yeah,
videos
so-
on my phones. It's not going public.
So,
Okay, it's not going public.
So what'll happen, I don't know how it works anymore in their office, but they'll either provide you a link to click on, or you'll get a CD to put into a computer.
Everyone has CD drives, right?
However they do it, that's how you'll receive it. I think they do it by link now, where you'll be able to click a link and download
That would
it,
be
but
good.
Don't hold me to that.
Now,
But you can talk with the prosecutor's office about the best way to get it to you.
now, there's a discernment with that one. If it's a link to a video, how am I supposed to make sure that that thing hasn't been doctored up or anything?
Well, that's where you as your attorney get to figure that out.
Unfortunately, I don't have the accessibility of resources at my hands as a prosecutor.
Okay, it doesn't, that's not the court's problem. You chose to be your own attorney, so that's on you. When you get to be your own attorney, it doesn't mean you automatically get all the resources the prosecutors have. That's one of the reasons it's a bad idea to be your own attorney.
Does. So if I were to want to have a video authenticated,
So there's
What's the next tip goal? I still haven't chosen Green Guy, I'm sorry.
a process, so the court is no longer involved with appointing expert witnesses. Because you are indigent, you would have to then request through the public defender's office, which they're going to be of counsel, to see whether or not they have any funds available to hire an expert on your behalf. I'm not saying that they will. I'm not saying that they
You still have CD, DVD, and Blu-ray reader writer. I think that's rad. You are in the minority.
won't. I don't know, because they're their own independent office. But that's where your of counsel attorney is going to come in and maybe give you some guidance there.
yeah, I object to all of this.
I understand. I know your objection.
Constitutional rights been broken, man.
I know,
Which ones and why? Don't say I know. You're gonna make him think he's right.
but there's just because you think it has been, and I'm not saying that you're wrong. Please don't take it that way. But the prosecution has the ability to defend their case, and today is not that day. That day's coming. It's coming. I promise you that, but it's not here yet. Okay, so just bear with us a little bit.
Yes, sir.
All right. I thank you for your patience, stay, and your cooperation. You can go out to the front window where you checked in.
I appreciate your kindness, sir.
All right, thank you.
It was a pleasure meeting all of you.
I
Can we have
really
this
hope
water?
he decides to get an attorney because this is gonna be a trash fire.
I'm going to end the live stream because this.
All right. Well, we have some more Mel Fletch saga to get into, but real quick before we do, I'm sorry, I have to pee again. I've been drinking more water because of my throat, so I do have to use the bathroom. Well, I do. Chair will tell you about... Trancers 5, Sudden Death. Thanks, Tim Tomlinson. I loved you in Doll Man. Be right back. All right, so if you're new, if you're from the raid, or if you haven't seen the recent Sovsit streams we've done on Mel Fletch, she's a sovereign citizen, at least two-time Trump voter. I'm guessing it's 3, but at least two-time Trump voter. She got into the sovereign citizen stuff, and she lost her house. She's still upset about all of this. This is a quite recent development. She was foreclosed on last month, in the middle of the month, and she has been stalking the house. She has been stalking her former house, and filing tons of bullshit paperwork. So let's see how she's been. Did we listen to this one yet? By the way, let me know if something sounds repetitive, because I'm not exactly sure what I've shown you guys yet.
So today is April 23rd, it's 2:23, and I'm heading back to my house
Not her house. I think we maybe saw this
to
one.
see what's being done today, how fast they're moving along with this process.
Yeah, I showed you this because it has the music, I remember.
Hey guys, so today is April 24th, and I'm going to make another trip over to see what's going on. Question: if the state of Texas has no property taxes, how are they able to foreclose on any?
Yep, we watched that one because the state of Texas localities have property taxes. Let me see.
Okay guys, so it's not raining now, so I was able to get some of my paperwork out of the car, and I'm going to show you guys something. And I'm going to actually teach you something. And it was something that I learned because somebody else had gone through this and they taught me all this information. And if you know that anything is a contract and can be rescinded in the 72-hour window, this is what I learned, okay? So this is the notice that the constable put on my door, minus the red ink and minus the black ink and the orange and the yellow.
So this is an official thing that was on her door. I assume this is the eviction notice or the foreclosure notice. She did the sovereign citizen thing where she thinks this is an offer to contract. It's not an offer to contract, it's a notification from the legal system. But since she believes it's a contract, she's been told by these sovereign citizen gurus, like David Straight, that you can void these contracts, which again, they are not, but they believe they're contracts, by writing void for fraud and no jurisdiction in 45-degree angle in red ink, which she has done here. There's also a variety of other sovereign citizen paperwork things that thinks she needs to be on here. They're all bullshit. Mentions of the UCC, the UCMJ, all of that's nonsense.
Nothing was filled out on the top by the constable.
Thanks, Felix.
Okay, I want you to see here. Here's his timestamp. February 3rd is when he got this eviction citation. So it says they created the cause number and it's an eviction citation, okay? So this was put on my door and it was rolled up like a lawn solicitation and put on my door, okay? So what I learned is if you read the top up here, and I have returned service, no UCC contract, trust, and no territorial office. And then I did it by Melanie Fletcher, and I put the...
Is the 45-degree angle specifically based on a warped interpretation of anything, or is it pure magic woo? I'm assuming they're getting it from somewhere, but I imagine it is so distant from what they are using it for that it's basically irrelevant. But I would imagine somewhere, someplace is something that says right void at a 45-degree angle, and they just universalized it. I don't know where their source is or what that was pertaining to, but this is where we wound up.
The date that I returned it. And
yeah, it could be a legibility thing because you're not in the same, like, orientation as the other writing. Don't know.
Then I put void for fraud, 2 jurisdictions, void ab initio, again by my name, because what you have to learn to do, folks, is to... Most people would get this and they would read every single word and try to decipher what it's saying. What I learned is you look like a puzzle. You only look for the key elements, because what you're trying to do is determine the usufruct derivative and the...
Is someone going to convince these people that the subsidiary stuff like red ink is actually satanic use of symbols and they're inviting evil into their life by doing it? That'd be great. I've had that thought before of someone hypothetically using conspiracy theory to help conspiracy theorists be healthier. So if I was like dictator of the world, one of my things would definitely be propaganda made specifically for conspiracy theorists that moved them away from conspiracy theories that are actively threats to other people, that actively harm society, and sort of corrals them into certainly conspiratorial spaces, but let's say benign ones. It would involve a lot of propaganda and online manipulation, so I'd probably be a bad leader, but, you know, what are you gonna do?
Jurisdiction that they're operating out of, okay? So they have the UCMJ, and the UCMJ is the British Territorial Admiralty Law part of the court, okay?
Nope.
The UCC is the maritime. It's Roman Municipal Maritime Court. So if you take this document and the
Seems like something that would bite you in the ass hard. Probably.
anything
But wouldn't it be fun to see how?
that's in upper lower case
I'm nothing if not an example of everyone else of what not to do.
is the UCMJ. So down here, I highlighted everything UCMJ is yellow. So anywhere you see upper lowercase is UCMJ jurisdiction, the Admiralty British territorial jurisdiction, okay? The all caps for the UCC is in all caps. So anything that I highlighted orange in all caps shows that it's in the Roman Municipal Maritime Admiralty Court, okay? That's two different jurisdictions on one notice, okay? That's already fraud because they cannot operate out of two jurisdictions. They can only have one jurisdiction. So right now, the judge, he's already committed fraud by impersonating himself in a different jurisdiction.
He's impersonating himself.
And
Identity theft is not a joke.
see, they never really established jurisdiction when I challenged it, but it doesn't matter because right here it shows that he's in two jurisdictions. So this citation was returned to them because, again, I didn't know this guy, Larry Branch, who put my name on this and all occupants. So when you do that return service and the void for fraud, you do it on every page. You do it in a 45-degree angle and you write it in red because red is corrective and it's also blood. So as a living man or woman, you're writing in blood.
We're casting spells.
But you do the
It's like a sigil.
corrections on there, and this was returned.
Or a rune.
And so I put my Republic of Texas seal on here, and it was hand carried back to the court on the same day at 3:36. It was hand delivered. Now, the clerk of the court did not want to receive it, and she actually chased out my boyfriend who brought it into her. She chased him out trying to give it back to him, and he didn't take it. But I'm going to show
So she followed him out.
you this.
Trying to get him to take
This
it.
is
Okay.
registered mail. These cards right here are international registered mail. So this was mailed to Judge Ralph Swearingen Jr. and it was
You sent something directly to a judge? You're not allowed to do that.
returned to the Texas Republic, even though they wrote the zip code on there because, the post office, they're corrupt too.
That damn post office correcting the addresses I put on my mail.
Or the USPS anyway. But anyways, it was postmarked. You see the bullet stamp. This is called a bullet stamp, if you don't know. And notice how it says Watauga Finance, because the post office is a bank. And when you mail international registered, it gets recorded in a firm book. So it's a court of record too, because the post office was the original bank. The post office is also
The best you can find is a Freemason's compass angle is 45 degrees. They do believe in Freemason, conspiracies, so that could be something.
back in the day, they were also a court. And so you can go to the post office and remedy your situation through registered mail. So on the top of every one of my documents, I take ownership. So I put my bullet stamp in the top with my jurisdiction. I also put on this side is a dollar stamp because I'm paying the taxes on my cargo, essentially, because you're showing your vessel. This is my vessel, my flag on my vessel, and then this is the taxes paid. So these are all securities. When you put dollar stamps on your documents, you can look it up from the Stamp Act. This is me paying for the taxes and the securities.
No, it isn't. You cannot put dollar signs on your random piece of paper and use it to pay your debts. What do you think debts are? What do you think money is? What are we doing here?
And so when the court decides that they're not going to accept these, that's tax fraud. Also,
Nope.
because the courts are IRS courts. And so every page I always put my bullet stamp on the bottom, put the date and my initials. This one I put the time, so it was time stamped as to when I received it, and then this is when it was returned. So well within the 72-hour window. So this contract was canceled, never accepted, just like when you do traffic tickets this way. Okay, so then I did this one. This is kind of, this was just showing that I registered, mailed it. This one was one of the originals that I made a copy, and then I did the whole UCC, UCMJ to show the fraud, to show that the judge is in fraud, working out of 2 jurisdictions. Now let me show you this. Do you see this down here at the bottom? This is the clerk of the court, but this is an electronic signature. This is not lawful, guys.
Yes, it is. You can do electronic signatures. I'm not even sure that is one. Honestly, to me, that looks like a real signature. But you can have digital signatures. That's a thing. That is a thing you can do.
The fact that they do this, it's not even a legitimate court document because it's an electronic signature. Okay? And notice.
Do you mean photocopied? Because I think this paper's probably been copied, but I don't think that it's a total digital signature based on what it looks like.
I did
because the fonts on digital signatures are usually quite different than that.
all this at the top on every page. I did the return service. Because you see, the courts, let me just tell you another little trick that I learned. And the reason I put stamps on the bottom.
Yeah, that doesn't look like any kind of cursive font I've ever seen. That just looks like someone's actual signature.
Because you have the front and the back of a document, right? And so what the judges will do in these courts is if you give them a whole stack of papers, right? And you can see the front of it, right? You're reading the front. Well, what they do is they flip them over to where they only see the back side that usually doesn't have anything on it, like this one doesn't. So and then you can ask the judge a question. Do you see on line 2? And he's like, no, I don't see anything.
I like that in her head, the imaginary corruption works like a cartoon character. Like, if they were corrupt, they'd just lie. It wouldn't matter what way the paper was facing. If it was a corrupt court that really just wanted to do whatever, they'd just do whatever. They just say whatever. But she thinks they have to flip the paper over and pretend. Sorry, I clipped the mic.
Because this is the trickery they pull. Okay? So when you put stamps on the bottom of it, it closes the judge out because you're getting the last word on the page. And he can't deny it at that point.
Take that, judge. I signed even lower than you, so I win.
Okay? So, there's that. Then, we move over here to this page. Again, you're not reading the document. You're going through and you're looking at the jurisdiction and the usufruct. So, in this one, you highlight all the uppercase orange, upper lowercase yellow. For yellow is the UCMJ, again, the orange is the UCC, all caps. 2 different jurisdictions. More fraud. Same thing on this. This one was just all upper.
Dillis Filler with 40 bits says this is probably my top 10 wackiest, spurious readings of a legal document interpreting capitalization used to signify words that have special meaning and context as indicative of different jurisdictions. Très magnifique.
Upper lowercase, but still fraud because it's all still the same document. And let me just show you this. This one is my favorite because Carl Weston, he was the constable that came to my house 4 times before he ever got the balls to stick this on my door. He did it on the 4th time,
I imagine he tried to knock on the door and ring the doorbell the first few times, and then eventually it just got to the point where they're just going to leave it there because you can't ignore court rulings. by just not answering the door. Harold Edelman, with a Black's Law Dictionary request, wants me to look up usufruct. Okay.
He had already surpassed his 72-hour window because he skipped a day and then he came back on the Friday and put this on my door. So he had already passed the 72 hours. However, look at the judge's signature on this. It's a stamp. And if you look really closely, let me see if I can do this. You see how it says KB? That means the King's Bench.
No, it doesn't mean that.
He's working for the King in England, okay? British Territorials. So he is on the King's Bench. Goes back to the bar card, the British Accredited Registry. Now then, I want you to notice something else about his
Legal usufruct. A usufruct established by operation of law, such as the right of surviving spouse to property owned by the deceased spouse. So she's probably talking about that because of her deceased husband? That would be my guess.
address. Do you notice that he does not have a zip code? Why does a judge not have a zip code? They force us to have a zip code. And you know, the clerks all say that they don't have a P.O. box, but you know where this mail went to? It went to a P.O. box, and they had to go pick it up. Somebody has to go.
Just because they don't have a public P.O. box that's available for people to send things to publicly doesn't mean that the courts don't have an internal system for getting documents from judges to clerks and vice versa within the system.
Claimed the mail at the Jack D. Watson post office in Fort Worth to pick up their mail. So they say it's not in a P.O. box. They lie. Okay. Also, this is notary fraud. Let me show you this. So let me blow this back up. I mean, get the whole thing if I can. So here's her notary stamp. Okay. So she's in 2 jurisdictions too, if you notice. And if you go over here, did you notice that it's just her initials? That's already fraud, because when you have a notary stamp, you have to sign your name on a document the same way that your notary stamp is.
I don't know the legality about that in Texas. No idea.
So whoever did this, it was notary fraud. Okay. And I wouldn't even put it
I don't think that would be fraud. I think that would be a clerical error at best for you.
past, because if you look at these 2 signatures and how he writes his K's and how he writes his A's, I think Kay Weston did that. I think he borrowed her stamp or had her stamp on the desk or whatever the hell he did. But
That's quite a claim. Could you back it up?
very similar signatures. So I wouldn't even put it past they did that. And then again,
But didn't you say it was a digital signature? So why would they be the same?
I did the same thing on the back of every page, so that there's no misunderstanding that this is fraud and I don't consent to the fraud.
It's not fraud. You don't have to consent to have things happen to you legally.
Then, along with that document, let's see. I just got these out of the car, so I have multiple copies. I always make extra copies because, you know, you never know who you're gonna have to mail them to and who's gonna screw with you. This, let's see, kind of getting out of order on this one, but I'm looking for this was my notice to Judge Ralph Swearingen. It's the same notice I read yesterday that I gave to pretty much every police department. Larry Branch received this one also. And I'll just read the first paragraph. All acting corporatist enforcers of the foreign states, counties, municipalities, and derivatives, possessions, territories, and enclaves trespassing inside the geographical boundaries of the Republic of Texas is noted. Therefore, no corporatist so-called government have any authority for imposing compelled performance, nor authority for intruding upon the substantive private rights and private properties of any
Nemesaur, thanks for gifting 10 tier 1 subs.
declared Texian national citizen of the Republic of Texas.
How you doing, Nemesaur?
Enforcing its private corporatist copyrighted laws, statutes, ordinances, rules, and regulations upon said Texians. There is no jurisdiction or venue authority permitted by any organic constitution or declaration of rights, bill of rights, or prosecuting sovereign people and taking their land in any corporatist administrative courts of commerce. Okay, so everybody has received this. Now, look at all the people I've noticed.
Texian is what Texans used to be called when Texas was still owned by Mexico.
Guys, my list has gotten quite
It's Texan now.
long because anytime, and here's another page of all the people that have been noticed, and here's the last page. And so if you notice in here, I said you're demanded to cease and desist immediately. Your actions against the Texian people, your non-rebuttal and or silence will constitute in support of the fraud. Mail is the only correspondence and must be received within 10 days using the mailbox postal rule.
Ma'am, you have no power to make these demands of them. You can't send them documents saying that if you don't respond to this, then X happens. You're not the government. You can't do that. They're the government.
We, the people's government, is issuing the said demands with honor and compliance with the will of the Texian people and the discovery that the Texian people have no liabilities concerning foreign, uncharted, and unauthorized commercial entities operating within the...
How did she lose her house? Wasn't paying property taxes and potentially wasn't paying a refinancing deal she had in her house. I'm not sure about that one yet.
Geographical boundaries of the Republic of Texas. And I have my mailing locations on there. And guess what? Nobody responded. Okay? So there's that. And more copies. Where is my... See, I even have a certificate of assumed names that I've done. I've done so much stuff that... This is my private registered indemnity bond.
Oh, is that this fake bond? Hold on. Is this the same bond? Hold on. Oh, this is a private auto insurance sovereign citizen bond. It looks like it was almost taken from the same template, but it's a little bit different. Yeah, this is a sovereign citizen fake bond for your car. It's fraud. It's not good, but we'll go over that another time.
And that they refused. These are, oh, here's my updated fee schedule. Because I had to add some more things that happened that I did not have in my original fee schedule. But see, Judge Ralph Swearingen, this pink card over here, he received all of this. He received my fee schedule. He received my rebuttal of presumption of death affidavit.
No one thinks you're dead.
This was the affidavit to the sheriff that I mailed to him, and he had the opportunity to rebut it, but he did not. This is actually recorded with the state of Texas in Travis County, which I just had that receipt up front. What did I do with that? Here's my receipts for all my recordings in Travis County. All of them. Okay, and this is part of them. This is the public communication to all, and it's an affidavit of truth and fact under penalty of perjury. This is where I put my land, my home, into the Republic of Texas, and if you want to read that, you can take a screenshot of it and you can read all of it. It's public record. Here's the filing number that's recorded in Travis County. Here's the rest of the page. And here's my land, air, water jurisdiction. I am in all
Captain
three.
Planet, he's a hero.
Okay, and then this is my sovereign authority, correction of fraud. Notice of correction of fraud. This is where I removed MERS from my mortgage and from my house. And this is what they didn't like. And this is why they deleted all the public records to take it back to when I first purchased the home, because they didn't like that I did all of this. And so...
Yeah, ma'am, your records are fraudulent. That's why they removed them. You're calling fraud on other people when it's ironic because you were accidentally doing the fraud.
There is that. Oh, this is This is funny because when I went into Judge Ralph Swearingen's court, or not his court, but his office, to drop off documents the day before court, they weren't going to give me any information because they're like, we need your address, we need your email, we need your phone number. And I was like, I don't have that. And I was like, I just want the evidence that you have from Larry Branch for this case. And they were like, well, you have to give us all that or we can't give you the information. So I finally just wrote it down for them. And this is the information I gave them. Was my mailing location that's non-domestic without the United States in the Texas Republic. And I requested as private. And then they wanted, I had to write what I wanted. So evidence of any believed case that they had, which they didn't have one. Because they never had a contract with me. Because why? I went back and I rescinded the contract. And
You can't unilaterally rescind a contract after 3 days. Also, this isn't a contract.
returned service on it.
Sorry, I keep feeling like I gotta sneeze. My sinuses are not doing well.
So they had nothing as a contract with me to be in their court. Now, this was the thing that I delivered to them on February 17th was my notice of conditional acceptance, a notice to appear by special divine appearance. And the judge just completely ignored it. He went ahead and had court the next day anyways, even though, excuse me, the where they agreed here with all of my documents that I had mailed them, which I have another stack somewhere that I'll.
Divine appearance is a thing that David Straight taught. He's a Sovset guru. He's dead now. But yeah, that's something he used to teach people because his teachings about jurisdiction, a lot of it has to do with what they call like natural law or God's law, and they think that the original jurisdiction of everything really belongs to God. So it's a whole thing.
Pull out here shortly. I may have to.
They think by making a divine appearance, they put things into the jurisdiction of God to some degree, I think.
Do this in multiple videos, but I gave him all of the information and they all signed off on it. The judge signed off on it and he agreed to this because I mailed it to him.
It doesn't matter. That's not a thing in contracts. You can't have tacit agreement by non-response.
So they agreed to the conditional acceptance. They agreed that I'm in the Republic of Texas. They agreed to my fee schedule because I got my return receipts back. That's what these pink cards are right here, my return receipts. And it's signed by whoever this guy is. So notice to agent is notice to principal. It doesn't matter if Judge Ralph Swearingen signed it or not. They're a corporation. So if anybody signs
They're not a corporation.
their documents for them, well, they're all liable for it because notice to agent is notice to principal and notice to principal is notice to agent. I hate saying that over and over, but that's how it is. So they're all operating in fraud because they don't even honor their own system. And they're operating out of multiple jurisdictions, as I showed you. This is UCMJ and UCC jurisdiction. It's fraud, all of it. So I don't even care if a judge showed up with an order on Friday to take me out of my house. It was fraud from the get-go.
Okay, so there's just nothing that would change your mind. That's embarrassing to admit.
British territorial and one's municipal. And they use them interchangeably. And in...
Alright, let's move on to the next video. Because she's just going over the paperwork and I want to get these other ones in. Did we do this one?
Hey guys, so today is April. Why they the construction that has insurrection. That's all this is.
Did that one. Alright, we're on the last couple then, I think.
Okay guys, so the flag caught me a little off guard. And I mean, I'm not surprised by it at all because I realized what was going on when he said he bought my house on the courthouse steps on January 6th. I have a document that says he purchased the house on January 6th. However, there's no bill of particulars. There's never been any evidence provided that he bought anything. And he said he bought it for $232,000.
The fact that you haven't seen that evidence or claim to have not have seen that evidence doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I've looked at the court docket. The documents are on there. She just pretends documents she doesn't like don't exist, or says like, well, I think for this sovereign citizen reason, this document doesn't count. So she'll just say she never saw it, when in reality what she means is I saw it, I disagree with it, and there's a big difference.
Okay, show me the money, honey, because you didn't buy shit. The, again, if you saw my earlier video from today, about an hour ago, 30 minutes ago, it shows that PMI Insurance became owner of the property. I'm not sure when it actually switched ownership. On that part, I would have to go back and look. There was a warranty deed done on August 7th with PMI Insurance and some federal mortgage something. Okay, done by an Esquire in New York. So an attorney,
A lawyer.
in New York, okay? Where if you go back and look at some of my other stuff, Tarrant County sold off all of their collateral to the New York Reserve Bank during COVID. If you don't know this, you need to get your commissioner's reports that shows all of the money that they
Does she think if she doesn't read things, they don't apply? Not only if she doesn't read things, if she doesn't agree with it, it doesn't apply to her.
transferred
In her head.
from JP Morgan Bank with the city or county to the New York Reserve Bank. Okay, so they've been bundling up people's collateral to include every home in Tarrant County because they're giving all the collateral to the New York Reserve Bank. That's why this Esquire got involved, it seems like, and PMI Insurance.
Ma'am, mortgages and loans get bundled into packages and sold as bonds or other investment instruments all the time.
Became the owner of my home back in when it was changed on the record was October. The ownership changed. Okay, that's when it got recorded. And when it got recorded, that's when my military benefits for my homestead exemption got canceled. Okay, so then this guy shows up on my land on January 8th, according to my neighbor who saw him because he questioned him who lived in the home because I had no trespassing and I had my Republic of Texas flag posted on my property.
It doesn't matter. Your flag is irrelevant, and they're not trespassing. They're cops who are there for legal reasons. They had permission to be on the property, so it's not trespassing whether you like them, whether you want them to be there or not.
Okay? So he left. He didn't leave anything on my door. He didn't do anything then. Okay? So then I go to the TAD office on January 12th because I'm like, what's going on with my house? Because I'm starting to look at records and nothing's adding up. So then I go January 12th to the TAD office. They tell me that PMI is the owner of my home. Not Larry Branch, not LB Construction, but PMI Mortgage Insurance. Okay? So PMI Mortgage Insurance.
It's possible they became the holder for some period of time after you defaulted. I'm not sure.
On January.
But they're the insurance company for your mortgage. Your mortgage, under certain conditions, gets insured by PMI. Someone else pointed it out in chat, but I have it on my mortgage too. I don't know if I still have it, because I think after 20%, you don't need it anymore. But, yeah, when I got my house mortgage, I had the PMI insurance too. It's a type of insurance, not the company. There we go. Thank you.
January 12th is said to be the owner. Well, why did PMI ever take me to court? Why didn't PMI ever serve me anything? If they had owned the house since October, why was nothing ever given to me? And how was I
Because they weren't kicking you out yet.
able to stay in the house and even through January with my military benefits being canceled for the homestead? Okay? Then fast forward at some point in February, between February 6th and February, I believe it was 14th, somewhere in there, That's when LD Construction showed up on the Tarrant County records as the grantee. Well, he's saying that he bought it off the courthouse steps on January 6th. So they've been tampering with the records in Tarrant County. They deleted my affidavit of heirship. They deleted out of the records my husband's last will and testament that says I'm the executress of the estate outright, because he didn't have anybody else to leave it to because he was married to me. So I was the executress of the estate, named in the will that was prepared for by Shepherd Air Force Base through JAG. And they've all decided now to change the record and delete.
It doesn't matter, ma'am. Your husband's will is irrelevant to this case, which is why they took it off the case record for this case, right? It's not that that will has never had any meaning, it's that it's irrelevant to what's going on. Certainly he willed you the house in his will, but then as the owner, it's your responsibility to keep up on things like taxes and mortgage payments or refinancing payments, whatever you have. So even though he willed you the house, it can be taken away from you, and it has been. Caesar Bishop with the 10-stream streak says, there are only two things I can't stand in this world. People who are intolerant of other people, people's cultures, and the Dutch. Austin Powers 3, gold member.
Everything off the record so that it didn't exist, and they took it back to when my husband and I purchased the house so that they could do their messed up, jacked up changing of records and create a false affidavit, create a false military status declaration under penalty of perjury. Every bit of what they did is fraud. And so this has nothing to do with me having a mortgage payment. This has nothing to do with property taxes, because as I showed you this morning, in the state of Texas, they don't have property taxes.
Localities do. The state of Texas doesn't necessarily have property taxes, but regions within Texas do. So there isn't a state property tax, but there's local property tax.
So anybody who's paying property taxes, you better be protesting that, because right in their own rules through the comptroller, it shows that the state of Texas doesn't pay property taxes. So I would be contesting that right out the gate. If you guys are ticked.
I think one of the problems with sovereign citizens is they just see everything in the government as the government, as if it's one homogenous thing and not a variety of different sovereign governmental entities, some of which have power over each other, some of which are completely independent and have their own roles. Like, it's nesting sort of jurisdictions, you know? Of course, we're all under federal in the United States, but then you also have state laws and local laws and stuff like that. They all exist at the same time, and when they come into conflict, there are rules about how to resolve that, but that doesn't mean that there aren't different rules, different expectations, different things for different parts of different governments that all operate.
Off that you're paying property taxes, you better start there with the comptroller, because you can literally go and pull that up and you can use that against them. To drive by today, and this guy has now put up a Lone Star State flag, the state of Texas flag, that's a corporation.
It's not.
On my domicile in
Not your house anymore.
the Republic of Texas, that's recorded as mine in the Republic of Texas. This is an insurrection, folks. And you know, I didn't go to the J6 insurrection in Washington, D.C. because I knew something was going to happen that day, and I didn't want to be a part of it. But how the crazy times we're in, that I'm literally in the middle of an insurrection right now in my own home that they just stole. Because the day that they came to my house on April 17th, which I've told you what April 17th is. 17 is a big number for the Freemason world. They love that number. It's the letter of Q. And Q goes back to the Queen.
This is a lot. This is a lot.
British territorial. They brought me into a British territorial court.
Nope, it's an American court.
Against my will, because they used my name, my trademarked name, to drag me through the court, even though I told them I do not consent to these proceedings. And every one of my documents that I recorded into their court, you know what flag it has on it? I'll show you later. But my flag and my vessel, I have the Republic of Texas flag on every one of my documents.
That doesn't do anything.
And I put the stamp duty tax on it. So my taxes were paid for my documents as security
I'm not giving it a like. This is Facebook. It's not YouTube.
into their fraud courts. This is unbelievable, honestly. But this is why they brought the guns to my house on April 17th, brought no body cameras. And I learned from my other neighbor that he was concerned because not only did they have constable cars on the side of my house, they had constable cars lining the street on the back side of my house that you couldn't see on either side. They ambushed me and they were ready for a war because they didn't know what I would do. And so
Yeah, you were making threats about them all over Facebook in your comments. You continually imply that you're going to use your, quote, Second Amendment rights on these cops.
the fact that they brought the guns, they jammed my phone so that I couldn't call for help. They did this deliberately, and this was another insurrection on the people. This has nothing to do with what I did or didn't do with my paperwork through my mortgage, through property taxes again, or any of that. This was
You trying to convince me or you?
total setup, orchestrated treason, war crimes against the people. Because we do have a republic. We have a Republic of Texas, and they don't want us to have it. And this guy's from California. Ring any bells? That's why all the people from California keep coming to Texas. Any of y'all paying attention yet? I have been targeted since 2022, more frequently in 2023, and I've been stalked ever since. All because I learned about the Republic.
Green guy says, what type of jam do cops use? Grape, because grape is the objectively correct answer. I will not be taking questions or comments about the fact that grape jam, jelly, preserves is the best. And I will not argue this point further.
Republic of Texas and how to stand in it. And they're trying to take that away because they don't want us to have a republic. Because if they have a republic, then guess what, guys? Or if we don't have a republic, then their corporate fraud just continues. And they keep stealing from us and they keep us enslaved. And we will have nothing and we will be happy about it, right? Or do you want your freedom? So I ask you, are you paying attention yet? Because this has nothing to do with anything I did wrong. This has everything to do with I was targeted, and it's war crimes, peonage, personage, racketeering, trafficking.
Rocketeering? I love the Rocketeer.
Why did they come to my house with no body cameras?
Sorry, now I'm just imagining the cops showing up to foreclosure, but they all have the rocket packs from the Rocketeer. The Rock-a-who?
Why did they not get aggressive with me in the driveway? Because they wanted me to be the crazy one. They wanted me to incite something against them.
I promise they do not want that.
So that they could arrest me and put me in their little jail and to never be seen again, because that was their real plan.
Oh boy. Alright, I think we have one more video from her, and then we are all the way caught up on her reels. Content warning, trigger warning. She is in this video at some point going to talk about her assault, which was talked about in a previous video. So if that bothers you, just letting you know, in this video she will be mentioning her assault. Have I tried grilling PB&J? Normally what I do is I just toast the bread beforehand. It's really good, but you could grill it and it would be delicious.
Good morning, guys. So, I hope that you're all looking at all of my posts on my page. I'm not hiding anything. And I find it strangely ironic that in the public records, they had to go in and delete my affidavit of heirship and my husband's last will and testament so that they could go back and put Larry Branch, or I'm sorry, LB Construction as the
Ultra Undying says, I love it when you mention a movie. I think I'm the only one who remembers them fondly.
grantee.
You should watch Red Letter Media if you don't already. Oh, I'm sure you do. Of course you do.
You can go see in almost real time how they deleted my records and put LB Construction as the grantee. That is federal crimes, friends. And not only is it federal crimes, everybody in that recording office is associated with the military. If you don't know who Syncor is, you might want to do some investigative work, because Syncor is attached to BlackRock and they pay our military. The military that's supposed to protect and defend Americans, not a corporation. But they've been protecting the corporations, and therefore that's why LB Construction got my house, because he's a corporation. And they deleted all the Living Woman's documents out and gave it to a corporation. And so now I went in on the docket from the court, and guess what?
She can't keep going around making these wild allegations. She can unless they become defamatory.
They put that they served me on
And even then, unless she gets sued for it, nothing's gonna happen, so.
April 17th, the day that they showed up on my doorstep.
What, we're talking about the Rocketeer and the Shadow, but there's no room for, the Phantom? I will not allow this level of the Phantom disrespect. Why do I always have the perfect movie just nearby?
That's not right either, because you can't serve somebody the same day that you give them notice. And it said unserved. And oh, by the way, when you close a case, you can't go back in and make edits to the case.
They can remove your superfluous documents, ma'am. Alden Undying says, Jinx!
You can't go back in and change the fucking record.
What about Dick Tracy? I also have Dick Tracy. I actually have a whole section of movies that are, pulp heroes or adjacent.
When you go in and close the case. Pardon my French, but the fraud that is going on here is blatant. And it's obvious. And if anyone doesn't start speaking up to their elected officials and going, what the hell? Why are you removing this girl out of her house that she's owned for 22 years? Why are you changing the public records?
Yeah, I don't understand what was French about that either. Does she think fraud is the F word?
Why are you letting a corporation own a single family home?
You voted for Trump.
Do you think this really can't happen to your house?
You voted for Trump.
Do you really think a corporation can't come in and take over your house?
Not for absolutely no reason.
Because they can. They just did it to me. Look at the
Again, there were reasons for that.
records. They deleted everything.
Did she say fucking? I missed it.
And then they made it say what they wanted to say. Just like they did in my rape case, where the detective made the record his own, didn't put on the record what I said, put the story the way he wanted it to be told. Same thing during COVID. The doctors went in and changed the records so they could get paid.
So I mentioned this in the last stream we covered her. She was a radiology technician, and she'd get very mad when the doctors wouldn't defer to her, basically. Doesn't have the qualifications. Whatever.
They could get
She got fired during COVID for not wearing a mask.
that COVID money. So
Apparently we're on a hype train for some reason. 5% to level 1. If you want to help out the hype train and support the channel, you can always use bits or subs.
they changed my triage notes to match their diagnosis that they needed to get paid.
I'm starting to think your notes were insane conspiracy bullshit. Stone Corbell, thanks for gifting a sub to main captain.
Tampering with records is a federal crime. And yet, everyone's just sitting around going, well, it didn't happen to me. So sorry it happened to you, Melanie. Didn't happen to me, so your problem to deal with.
Ultra Undying says, hype train, oh my god, love Sky Captain, feel like the mummy need. That fell apart at the end.
Well, while it's my problem to deal with, it soon is going to be your problem to deal with. Because when AI takes over, with all these data centers and all these things, guess what, folks? They could be yanking you out of your house tomorrow morning. And you ain't going to be able to do nothing about it. So, I don't know what else
Needs to be interesting too. Gotcha.
to say at this point, because the criminals have gotten away with stealing property, invading my privacy, invading my home. And let me just tell you this, when they did what they did, it wasn't just against me. It's against everybody who's ever visited my home, everybody who's ever sat at my table, everybody who's sat in my living room, everybody who knew my husband. And just coincidentally, they somehow brought my husband back to life too, because now he's a renter somewhere on Google too.
Google can be incorrect. Fun fact.
If that doesn't disturb and bother,
For a long time on Google, my cell phone number was listed under multiple businesses. One of them was a pooper scooper business. The other was some sort of vent company that did something with vents, so I would get calls and messages for people looking for HVAC stuff, which I am unqualified to do. Ultra Undying with 100 bits says, watching on tablet.
all of you, I don't even know what your moral compass is. This has got to stop. This is
Tenor still has a gif of old you, yeah, the face palm. I'm aware.
not just me. This is happening nationwide. Johnson County just had a thing about assets being stolen. Criminals are stealing assets. Well, you know who the damn criminals are? They're the ones that control the damn records and the guns. That's who the criminals are. Not me. I did everything I was supposed to do. I even corrected everything on the record.
You don't know what you were supposed to do. You've been taken in by con artists, and you follow conspiracy theories, so you don't even know what the right thing to do is right now. Minute left on the hype train.
But guess what? Tarrant County wouldn't record that. Oh, Melanie, you know we have to get our attorney to look at your documents. We can't record those unless our attorney looks at them.
Yeah, because they're not legal documents. They're insane ramblings.
So we can collude and conspire and decide how we're not going to record your document. We're going to make a copy of it. That way, if anybody goes to any other county with the same document, they won't be able to record either. Because that's what they did. They've been making copies of everybody's documents, and they've been blocking everybody from being...
Easy Jeff says, well, that's her Republic of Texas doing all this, right? No, see, she thinks that there is a Republic of Texas that she belongs to, and then she thinks the actual state of Texas is a corporation that doesn't count. So she's saying that that corporation that is the state of Texas is committing fraud. She believes herself to be in and part of the Republic of Texas, which she considers to be an entirely separate political entity. It's nonsense.
able to record on the public record.
Thanks for the hype train.
And then they've been
Ultra Undying says, so for this hypothetical movie night, techno color noir?
taking those documents, the original...
I don't even know what that means. Techno color noir. Are they all in color? We didn't mention the shadow. The shadow, I think, is black and white with red, isn't it?
And they're shredding them. Because do you know, even the
Techno color noir. That's a decent name. We'll go with that.
documents that I put into my court case, I asked the clerk, Ashley Williams, the deputy clerk, the one that signed the writ, what they did with the documents that I brought in, the hard copies. And she said, oh, well, we scan them in and then we make sure that we got everything we need to, and then we shred them. So they shredded my securities.
Are we saying random movies to see Hannah pull from them? My turn, Buck Rogers, and probably a collector's edition of Flash Gordon. God damn it. I am thinking of Sin City. You're absolutely correct. Here's my Buck Rogers in the 25th Century complete collection. This includes the movie and the shows. Or rather, the show. Both seasons of the show. Here's my Flash Gordon Blu-ray, or 4K. It's not a special edition. It's just the 4K. Do I have the Buck Rogers serials? I do not. I have Flash Gordon serials. I do not have Buck Rogers.
And they didn't pay the tax on them either. And identity theft, using my trademarked name, committing tax fraud. You guys awake yet? I'm tired of being used. I'm tired of being stolen from. And you know what? It's getting to the point now. People are going to have to start defending themselves.
Getting worried. Getting worried she's going to take some action. People Lord with 34 months says, is 34 numerology? If not, here's some local news from here in Hawaii. Aloha and mahalo. Let me take a look what this link says. Oh, it's going to load. There we go.
The video of the monk seal that almost got hit by the rock from the tourists who threw it. If you didn't, here it is again.
Fucking howlies.
And we've all seen, or some of us have seen, environmental activists, I like to call them, who took matters into his own hands to educate what might happen if you mess with our land or the animals. And our attorney over here wants to make it clear we don't condone violence. But we did make a letter of recognition for Mr. Ambassador of Aloha. I know everybody's trying to keep him anonymous. And I do just want to say that from our caucus, you know, we see this all the time with people with a different type of mentality coming in and destroying our stuff, essentially, in this case, animals. But we'd like at least the airline to play this type of video on all flights incoming, so people don't do this kind of stuff. I don't want to leave it on a negative note, but I did want to get that out. Mahalo.
It's probably a good call. Yeah. Might be a good idea to remind people, hey, don't be a dipshit.
Hope you know the Constitution. Because it's well within your right. And these people that act like nobody else can defend themselves and only cops can do that.
Terradona says, I kind of expected the seal coma after the guy.
Guess what?
Or the seal to come after the guy. That makes way more sense. Sorry, I misread that.
I think those times are about to change. And I say that because I think people are going to get fed up. Enough people that things like this happen to, just like in Brazil, Australia, UK, all those people are standing up to their government. They've had enough. I just wonder when America is going to have enough. I wonder when America is going to get out of their freaking little bubbles and got to plan a vacation and got to go get my nails done and got to plan all these things while we're literally in the middle of a freaking war. And your neighbors are losing their houses. Look around you. How many houses are going up on the market now?
Not a ton near me.
Not just because it's the end of school, folks. They're raising the prices to force people out of their homes so that the military can come in, that BlackRock can come in, that China...
What? Raising the prices to force people out of their homes? Oh, you mean for property tax reasons? Like you're saying they are reassessing at much higher values? Or am I giving too much credence to that? Does she think that people's mortgage payments are just suddenly going up? Possible if you had some sort of variable rate mortgage, which isn't a great idea, but...
China, Japan, all these places can come in and steal all of our land. And everybody's just sitting on their thumbs letting them do it. You know what it takes? It takes people going together and standing and saying we're not taking it anymore. Because I'm not. I haven't been. They just got away with it because they had guns at my house. And the moment that I would have pulled a gun or done anything with a gun, you know what they would have done? They would have shot me
Yes, because in that situation, you would be an insane, delusional conspiracy theorist shooting at cops. Yes, that would be bad. That would be really bad. Do you see how I am worried and think I should contact someone about this?
And then they would have made the story that I was the crazy lunatic and that they had every right to do what they did.
The situation, even as you described it, you are the lunatic and they would have every right to do what they would do. Wow.
Because they justify everything. That's what they do. I have so many documents to show the reason they don't own my house. I have the original documents to my house, all ignored. But you know what? They deleted the records, so why would they pay attention to any of my other records? And for those of you who say go...
Spongy Lord says, how do they know nothing about Trump's history as a landlord, property, and landowner? They don't know anything.
Get an attorney? Who do you think the attorneys are going to protect? They're not going to protect me. They're protecting the corporation. They're British territorials. They have a bar card. British accredited registry.
That's not true. Bar does not stand for anything. It has nothing to do with Britain.
To practice law. They ain't helping us. Nobody's saving us. We have to save ourselves.
Again, implies to me she's considering some sort of physical action against those that she believes have done her wrong. Very concerning. Anyway, we're all caught up with the Mel saga, so I'll keep you guys posted. I do plan on sending some kind of email just to give the police department a heads up, you know. I don't want anyone to get hurt. I don't want her to get hurt. I don't want anyone to get hurt. So, anyway, that's it for today. If you were here from the raid and you haven't followed yet, consider following. We stream most days and we have a lot of fun looking at interesting, delusional, and strange beliefs and people from around the internet. We have lots of fun. Sorry I've missed so many days this month. It's been kind of hectic. I got sick yesterday. I'm going to try to stream tomorrow, but I have electrolysis, so that can be iffy. But no matter what, I'll be here for the rest of the week starting Tuesday. So, very excited for that. Let's see who we're going to raid on Twitch. Oh! All right, have a great night, everyone. I'll see you soon, and, don't go crazy, I guess, would be my advice. Is that helpful? Bye, everyone.